Well, I'll start off the conversation by saying thank you for coming into my home and welcome to the Doxcast, bro.
Bro, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to finally be here.
Yeah, I wanted to say this on camera as well, even though we did touch on it off camera. I've been wanting to get this episode for like a year at least a year. I think the first time I seen ya was probably, it could have been around the Jessica time. I don't know if I remember seeing you on there first or if it was just around that time, but I let it go for way too long. So I apologize, but I'm grateful you're here.
It's, I think, divine timing in it all, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've probably been watching you for about a year thinking, one day I'd love to be on there, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've been thinking the same thing. One day I'll get him on, that'd be great, you know?
Maybe one of us should have taken action earlier.
Yeah, bro. Well, we spoke a lot off camera for everyone who doesn't know the previous conversation we've just had. So we might reflect and say, based on this, so I'll let everyone know we didn't just start the conversation. It's been about half an hour or so already. But I thought we'd fill everyone a bit in with like a bit of your history, what you were doing before, and how you got into what I know you're doing now, which is relationship advice and coaching, couples coaching, things like that. So
Yeah.
bit of history about you.
Bit of history about me. We were talking about career paths a minute ago. So what a lot of people probably don't know about me is I'm a dual qualified tradesman.
Doing the same trades I'm doing too, which is crazy.
Yeah, that was bizarre. And both in media as well. So we've walked a very similar path in recent years. But I was going down that path not knowing what I wanted to do. But much earlier on in life, I got into the coaching space because that just had a calling to it for me. And it was before it was ever sexy. It was before it was everything. It was before it became, a business model for people to just make money. I wanted to do it because I felt called to it. And after spending in excess of 50, 60 grand, like somewhere around that mark, I, at 20, 21, very quickly realized, oh shit, I have a lot of my own trauma. And ironically, in the process of healing that, realized that I wanted to be a coach because I wanted to fix people. I wanted to fix people because I had no control in my childhood environment and I couldn't fix the people that needed it or help the people that needed it. My mum being one of them. I grew up in a single mother household and there was a lot of men in and out and there was drug addicts, psychopaths, gang members, just everyday men that were, didn't have their shit together and were abusive. And yeah, I was told from a very young age, be the man of the house, be seen and not heard. If I carried on or was too emotional to try and get my needs met, I was punished for it. And it formed this weird concoction of being a gentleman and a lovely human, and I arrogantly say I was that, but it also made me a people pleaser, and it made me, a healer, but not from a place of, that's just what I am. It was like who I needed to be in order to get validation and love and my needs met. And I talk a lot about this. We all have needs, like oxygen or water. We need them. And yeah, to get mine met, it was unhealthy. So I took an indefinite break from coaching after spending all this money on it and getting really good at it and actually helping a few people, from quitting smoking to a few women dealing with rape and healing that trauma. There was, it's a lesser known thing, but I helped a woman come out about her family that she was raped by, which, wasn't known until 16 years later. And I came to the picture and helped her heal that and come out about it. So I done all this and just went, this isn't for me. And maybe, the purpose was for me to discover this, to heal myself. And it wasn't until, 8-9 years in the trade and building a media business and getting a healthy relationship with the idea of business again that I said, I think I'm meant to get back into this coaching thing. Like I keep finding myself, and always did, helping people here and there and using the skills I had and taking on odd clients as a side project. But I got a very definite calling. I'll say that. I got pulled back into it and asked for a sign. I got a very clear sign. You couldn't ask for anything more obvious. And so I began concentrating on my efforts on coaching and helping specifically men to get where they want to be, basically go from A to B. It's what a coach is, right? But I hyper-fixated on relationships because it's the biggest influence in our life. It's the biggest investment that we make as men. And I went about it a very different way. Most people think this is how you communicate, you need to hold space for her. I said, it's so much deeper than that. Like you can learn all the techniques that you want, but if the container that those techniques enter, which is you, is fucked up or is dirty or has trauma and unresolved issues and unhealthy attachment styles, it doesn't matter what you teach us as men, we're gonna fuck it up. And a lot of the women too, like I thought, they need accountability too. They need to know how to treat a man. Every man, you and I included, probably everyone watching this, has all been told how to treat a woman. We know that. It's inherently instilled within us. But I can't tell you a single woman that I know that was told this is how you treat a man.
Oh, that's a powerful thing to say. Bro, I have to put a pause, all right? Because there's so much stuff I want to unpackage, and there's already so many gems inside of this already, all right?
Yeah. Please stop me too if I get on because I am passionate about this, as you'll see.
I want to definitely reverse engineer that and come back to that last point. But in the beginning, when you got into coaching and things like that, and you say it costs, 50, 60 grand investment, that's a new world that I've only recently opened my eyes to, the world of coaching. And like recently I went to the seminar with Ethan Doherty and David Goggins, and there was like JT Fox, and there was all these people like that there that were coaches selling courses to help bring people on as clients and things like that. And in the beginning, I was very fixated on the idea that like it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a scam, it's just a way. These people are really good at convincing you how to give them your money, right? But I'm starting to understand that the only way to learn how to do it is to invest. And that's what people say about invest in yourself, like it's a scary thing for people to do. Was it a scary thing for you in the beginning to be like, I want to pay the money it costs to learn how to do it? Was that a scary thing in the beginning?
Yes and no. And just to touch on that prior, it is a Ponzi scheme to a degree. A lot of coaches are shit, and a lot of them are in the business to make money, not to help. That's fine, but the intention has got to be to deliver value and drive home value first. That's going to create real, tangible, lasting change for you. And most coaches give band-aids to issues. Most coaches are the equivalent to going to a doctor with a splinter and saying, hey, this fucking hurts. And the doctor goes, here's a band-aid or some ointment without pulling it out.
Yeah, okay.
So it's scary in that it's an intangible a lot of the time. I mean, it's very tangible when you got proper coaching, 100%. It's undeniable. But it's a bit of a Russian roulette. I would say 80% of the time, 90% of the time, the coaching people go and do isn't worth it, gives temporary fixes and partial fixes, and it isn't what it should fucking be.
It's a shame for 80, 90%. Like, that's a massive number. I was thinking maybe like 10% of them are frauds, or 10% of them, like, it's a waste of time because...
It's not even that they're frauds either. So some authentically, with a whole heart, will lovingly give you their all. But their all doesn't have full context of who you are, or they've been prematurely trained off a 1 to 2 or 3 day online coaching course, and they get a certificate at the end of it. And what qualification do they have? Like, it's unregulated. I'm unregulated. I coach very high net worth individuals, and they don't pay me for a certificate that I have as a therapist. They pay me for I do have qualifications, don't get me wrong, and very high standards too, but I'm technically not regulated. They're buying the conviction that I have, and they're trusting me to be able to deliver a result. And they know and feel that because I've been through their situation and made it through. And I'm steps ahead of them in certain areas, which they want the path from A to B for. They don't want to have to go do it blindly for 5 years. They'd rather pay me and do it with sight and someone in their corner in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So people lovingly, I watch it. I watch so many coaches make $3,000 for a high ticket client, and they lovingly fuck them up more because they dig some stuff up, they heal it, but they miss the root cause of it, or they partially pull the splinter out. And there's not bad coaches. Like, there's a few bad coaches. Like every industry, there's a few bad eggs. But there's a lot of people doing a very mediocre job. We're tradesmen. It's the equivalent to having an electrician come to your house and bodgily fix up a light. The light works, but you got to be careful near it now because it's the loose wire hanging out and you could touch it and die.
I do find a lot of the correlations in the journey I've had being an apprentice to tradesman, and then tradesman teaching apprentices, and now going into another one, all that kind of stuff. Like, I do find the relation between that and what coaching must be, and I can see how, and I do notice that if an apprentice is now under my supervision and he's had a shit tradesman in the past, I'm not going to... Okay, I'll go down this road instead. I'll say that he's lucky he came to me because he would have became a shit tradesman before,
Correct.
right? And I think I'm only lucky as a tradesman because I've had great influences before me. If I was trained by someone else, I would have been a shit tradesman myself.
Your skill set is built on the back of the people that came before you.
Yeah.
And even if you did have a shit tradesman, I think the quality of person that you are would see the dodgy shit you're learning as an apprentice, which you by default you're going to, You'd know what's right and wrong. You accept or reject it, like we do as children in our home. We learn off them. The difference is, and you're right in saying it's like they came to you because you're going to get proper teaching now. So it's important who you learn from, right? Because you can learn things. You can learn a really great technique. Like there is so many techniques out there. We're not short on techniques and processes to heal trauma, become a better person. It's the conviction of what we do it with as coaches. And if we don't know how to do that well and build rapport with the client, and it's not even the rapport with you, as much as the rapport as we have, there's a subconscious part of this whole process between you and I right now talking that is far more important than a conscious situation. When we have a problem, we're not consciously doing the problem, we're subconsciously acting out. We're like computer programs. We're the equivalent of a computer program acting out with a virus. Trying to change the color of the screen isn't going to fix the virus. We need to go and remove the programming. And we as humans have programming. And it's not easy. You need to diagnose. And it comes back to that analogy as a tradesman. An okay tradesman might come to fix a light, for example, and just replace the bulb and it blows again a week later. What they don't diagnose properly is that there's a fuse back in the board, so that precedes that, well before that, that is worn out or has a loose connection and it's sending, inconsistent currents through to the light, which is blowing it. But a bad tradesman or a bad coach will just come keep replacing the light bulb. It gets you the outcome, but you've manifested the problem in another way. Or that's solved and now you're at level 2 without the skill set that you should have got from level 1, and you're even more fucked and worse off in 3, 6, 9 months time.
Yeah.
So it's about correct diagnosis, and it's actually a great analogy and parable between the two that like I became a great tradesman, again I'll arrogantly say that, and my whole thing as a fridgie / electrician was to diagnose well. I had multiple 6-figure projects that were under the umbrella of me and me only, which if diagnosed wrong meant I cost the company tens, if not hundreds of thousands, because there would be massive compressor systems or things that needed replacing. And if it wasn't actually that and I diagnosed it as that, big mistake.
Yeah.
And as a coach, I'm grateful for that background, and I take it very seriously that when you work with someone, you don't go jump in and say, I have a relationship issue, my wife's a bitch. You go, why is she a bitch? How do you know she's a bitch? When is she not a bitch? And you begin to look at patterns and go, okay, so it's when you do this that she gets like that. And if you understand, okay, the schematics behind people, like there is in the trade, if her needs aren't met in a certain way, if she doesn't feel safe, secure, significant to you, and like there's some way to contribute to your growth or into the relationship, which a lot of men prevent them from doing, she's going to fuck you up. She's going to lash out. And as a result, the relationship's a problem and you end up hating her and she hates you. Most people say, let's fix the surface issue. You just got to be kinder to her. You got to hold more space. True, but it's 10% of the picture. There's so much more. And so to bring this full circle back to coaching, was I scared investing into it? Yes, I was dabbling in bits and pieces and getting comfortable with it. And thankfully I had a mentor. And actually I was going to say, this might be controversial saying this, but no, I'm very proud to say it. It was Neil Strauss. He wrote a book called The Game. A lot of people know The Game through an unfortunate lens. It's a pickup book.
Yeah.
But I came across it from an NLP term, discovered that, and he used techniques from coaching on how to pick up women because of strategies. But I didn't look at it as a way to as an 18, 19-year-old, let's get all women with this. Part of me did.
Yeah,
but
of course.
the bigger part went, this stuff, the fact that you can influence people in a way and help get results was really fascinating. And then as a result, I dived into NLP world, the world of NLP. And, being a young tradesman, I looked for the best. What's the best tool here?
And what's NLP an abbreviation for?
NLP is neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
I love it and I hate it at the same time. The founder of it, Richard Bandler and John Grindler, great, incredible humans. They're responsible for a lot of the greats today. Tony Robbins attributes a lot of his success to Richard Bandler and John Grindler. It's a great term, but it's taught to a lot of people that don't use it well, and it works based on the practitioner doing it. It's like a gun. It's like any tool. You can do a lot of good with it, or you can do a lot of bad with it, or it can just look phony and like it's not great.
All the gear, no idea. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's most coaches. So I thought, if I'm going to learn this, I want to learn it off the best. And I found a great company with a gentleman and a couple actually, that aligned with a lot of my values. And I went and learned from them, and I felt very comfortable doing that. And then I ended up spending more money and getting their master practitioner programs, which was 14 days straight of 12-hour days, like no break, just killing it. And to pass, you had to hypnotize people. So we learned clinical hypnotherapy.
That's mad.
And I was skeptical myself too, don't get me wrong. Like I grew up in Claymore, Campbelltown, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Very skeptical, very trust averse. And I was like, I know this works on paper, but does it really? And ironically, I attracted to me the most difficult situation to pass my test, which was a pregnant woman who said, she didn't have to do it to pass. She said, no, I want to do it. And I think they must have picked up on the fact that I was good at what I did. I was passionate about it. I had conviction, but I also was like, how does it apply here? How does it apply there? I wanted to understand it at a fucking deep level.
Yeah.
So they're like, Clay, for you to pass, you need to hypnotize this pregnant woman. And not only hypnotize her, it's a form of catalepsy. So we had to give someone full body catalepsy. And then 4 men had to pick the person up and lay them in across 2 chairs. So it was just the top of their neck on one chair and the ankle on the other one and hold it for a minute, which is near impossible. It takes extreme athletes.
So do you just let go or do you just keep holding it?
No, let go. So I've got a photo of it. I'll have to find it. I'll see if I can find it and send it to you for this. But I had a pregnant woman, very pregnant too, across 2 chairs, holding a full bit of catalepsy. And you can only do that when the subconscious mind locks into place or it goes into somewhat of a fight or flight response because you have adrenaline helping and, you know.
Yeah, it locks everything up.
It's not something we can easily do consciously. So hypnosis it's not this weird Hollywood-like thing that it's portrayed to be. What it is just it's a way of tapping into the unconscious mind, which is responsible for all our beliefs and behaviors and the autonomic nervous system, our heartbeat, digesting food. Hypertension, anxiety, that's all an unconscious process. What people don't realize is we can subconsciously tap into we can tap into the subconscious mind at a conscious level and give it suggestions, one of which being freeze. And if you do that and you put someone in a position like that, it's pretty fucking amazing.
That is amazing.
And it's an undeniable experience of being able to have hypnotized someone because you can't do that consciously unless you're an extreme athlete, and a pregnant woman who is not an athlete can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's how I passed my test. And at that point, I was bought in. I was like, I know this works, and it works when you have the right people. So a big part of coaching for anyone doing it is find someone that's fucking great at what they do. Be skeptical. Learn to listen. That's a great book I took a lot of life lessons from, and one of them is be skeptical but learn to listen. Look for the true intention on what's going here. Are they just in this for money, or is there really value in it? And things like what you went to with David Goggins, like those big event seminars, they're great. They're always going to try and upsell you to a program. I would say steer clear of them unless it's so undeniably like you need to do this. But go there and take a pen and paper and take notes because fuck, you'll learn. You'll get ideas and concepts that'll stretch your brain, which I think it's like plastic deformation it's called. It's like where you stretch an elastic material beyond its normal limits, it'll never go back to the same shape. And it works the same with our brains. Like once we get stretched and see something, we can't unsee it.
Yeah.
And
you can notice that happening. You know what I mean? Like say for an...
Well, how was it for you?
I consume a lot of content. Like I do my best not to spend too much time doom scrolling and things like that, but like anything that YouTube provides me with when it comes to like, let's just say Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson or you might have Diary of a CEO or Joe Rogan or I'm telling you, I'll probably watch 12, 13, 14 hours worth of the best conversations you could possibly listen to in your life, right? But it's like I feel my elasticity going out to absorb it and then going back to normal because there's so much of it. But when you hear the right thing, I feel my brain literally open and just be like, oh, I'm in a new place. Like I've taken in something great, you know? 100%. That event necessarily, did not experience it there. It was a good experience. I'm always grateful for an opportunity to do something like that. My brother bought me tickets for my birthday because he knew I loved David Goggins. So I really appreciated the event, but it was never one of those things that made me change my already perceived view of the world, you know?
Yeah. And that's because you've already stretched so much too, I'd say. And it's not that they're always a cure-all. It's if they're cheap events, like if you can get tickets for $90 to $150, I would recommend everyone to regularly go do stuff like that because if nothing else, you'll network with great people. But more so what I see happening out of them is it's a process of immersion, and Tony Robbins talks a lot about that. And I have my own version of that where I talk about clients' traumas are formed in a negative way, and they happen from either repetition, so constantly being around something, we accept or reject it, but even in rejecting something, it shapes us in a certain way from that environment. And if it's not an exposure thing, a time thing, it's an intensity thing. So you think about a trauma, you can be completely fine driving cars your whole life, up to 40 years old. One bad car accident, someone flies out the windscreen, there's blood, guts everywhere. That's a traumatic, intense event that happens once. But the next time she drives, like that woman driving, do you think she's going to feel at ease? Especially if someone slams on the brakes in front of her? Everything reacts. So that's the negative aspect of it, but you can also do it in a positive aspect. If you repeatedly do something over a long enough period of time, it influences us in a positive way. And those events are intensity and kind of a full day of it sometimes. We get both the time and intensity. And yeah, one might not be great, two might not be great, but that third one, because your mind's been stretched from the previous two or just a little bit, and we have a bit of a bedrock or a foundation that can then be built upon. And then the right person will come along, the right coach or mentor will say something to you and you go, holy shit. And then you're forever different. And then begins the next journey of growth, because now you've got a different mindset. You start acting and being and doing things different, but you usually find challenges and that reveals stuff within you.
Yeah, and you're never going to get there if you don't put yourself in that situation. Like one of the biggest things I get from things like that is inspiration, like hearing people's almost step-by-step journeys. This is who I was, this is who I am, and being inspired, like, wow, look what can be done, because I already know what can be possible if you put the work in to do it. My biggest thing is, like, from my perspective, is like, I know I can be capable of anything. I'm just like, what do I want to be capable of? You know, that's my biggest issue. And I'm not sure. I'm always looking for the answers, like, oh, that guy's got a pretty cool way of living, but I don't really want to live like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's my biggest issue when it comes to it. I don't have a good enough example yet of anyone I've ever met who's like the perfect example, but I might hear a little thing about how that person lives and go, oh, I'll use that little piece and I'll use that little piece and things like that.
Saying what you're saying really, it's very telling, because I too have never found someone that I'm like, I've gone, that's exactly what I want to be like. But I have found a lot of people that I like a lot of. And I don't think you're ever going to find that person. That's the conclusion I came to. I came to the conclusion that I need to take what I will from people. There's good and bad to that, because sometimes what they say, it feels right for you. You need to actually take some of the stuff that doesn't feel right, because they kind of go hand in hand, or something that you go, I don't know, leads to the good habit that they have, which is what you want. But in general, I would say, yeah, take bits and pieces from here and there and build the model that you want. And to do that successfully, it involves writing it down and why you resonated with it. And eventually you build up a compendium or an index of you. Because here's the thing too, I love this topic. So many people, women in particular, have noticed that I'm going to go out and find myself. That's the biggest fucking crock of shit. There is no one to find. You build yourself. You make yourself.
Oh, there's no one to find, bro. What a quote. Oh my God.
So you're doing what you're doing. It's perfect. You're building yourself. You grew up with a set of beliefs and values and principles and programs, and they worked up until about 18, 20, until you started having to depend on yourself and yourself alone, when you knew no one's going to come rescue you. We can certainly have people help us. And look, to some degree, there's a lot of truth. There's no one coming to rescue you, but they're also, we also have people to depend on, right? But to some degree, we are largely in charge of ourselves now. We're responsible. Yeah. When that happens, a lot of what got us to that stage no longer works for us. We can't depend on mum and dad now. So it's like, who do I depend on? And we get a friendship and we get screwed over. We get in a relationship. We get cheated on. And we learn who we are through seeing values and principles in others that resonate with us and go, that would have saved me from this. That would have got me there. Had I have known that, I would have. And then I'd be happier or better or stronger or more protected. Yeah. So it's all about not finding yourself, creating yourself through the environments we're in and learning what is and isn't important to us. And to some degree, that requires regular self-reflection too. Yeah. You need to do an audit every now and then. You need to check in and go, hold on, am I being an asshole and who I don't want to be, or am I actually in alignment with who I want to be? And am I constantly directing myself to be on track with where at least I think I want to go?
I love that, dude, because it's like it's also like there's this quote by Chris Williamson I've been reflecting on this week. That's you live life forward, but it only makes sense in reverse. You know, where it's like it's only when you've gone through your experiences where you can look back and like, oh, that's why I ended up here, because and we'll use relationships as an example. I didn't see the signs and the tells that ended up making this result in the end, and it was a shock to me then, but now that I'm reflecting, it makes sense, right? And I think, and when it comes to there's no one to find, I think about that, like you only become you based on everyone else, like it's only your experiences that you've had by other people that make who you are. And yeah, a lot of it comes, genetically and biologically, and you got your family traumas that can get passed on, all these things as well. But one day my goal is to write a book. I would love to write a book about the life I've had. My goal is to have as many interesting conversations, as many interesting people, and then find what I deem to be the best way to live my life, And I think the title of the book is going to be Not My Story, because it's not me. It's everyone else that made this person, you know what I mean? And I think everyone's doing that. They just don't really know they're doing that.
They're unaware.
Yeah.
They're just subconsciously going through the motions and the ropes. And then they rock up at 40, 45 and have a midlife crisis and go, hold on, where am I?
yeah. Who am I? What am I doing?
A person that I don't want to be with in a job that I thought was fulfilling that isn't.
Yeah.
Bro, I think that's amazing. That's it. Like trademark that book title.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I should.
I think that's amazing. And it's true. Like we discover ourselves through the world outside of us. The world is a reflection or a mirror of who we are. And yeah, the more we adopt that and embrace it, the more we learn about ourselves.
It's crazy, because it's almost like you create the world around you based on what's happening inside, but you're also becoming who you are inside based on the world that's around you. Like, it's so crazy how the two of them...
The way you put that is beautiful. It's essentially two mirrors reflecting the light back at one another. And it kind of, if you think about it, what does that presuppose? There's light reflecting between the two, or something being reflected, right? Where does that original reflection come from? That point.
Yeah.
And that's the realm of our unconscious. We essentially and effectively enter this world as a blank canvas. We come out of the womb. And to be truthful, we're not even blank at that point. We've come in with a lot of baggage from our mum and dad.
Yeah, for sure.
How we were raised in the room or grown in the room also contributes and means a lot. But effectively, to keep it easy, we enter as a blank canvas. And then very quickly we start getting stuff put on the canvas, and perceptions and filters and beliefs, and we delete and distort and generalize everything with all this information coming at us, and we end up with us. At around age 7, we develop a critical faculty. So up until 7, a lot of people don't know this. We're actually in a hypnotic state. We're in a hypnagogic state where we take in something like 11 million bits of information every second. We're taking in a ton.
Wow. And
then after we develop this critical faculty, it filters down from around 11 million to about 128 bits a second.
Whoa.
So we get a minimal version of reality now. And the reason it's filtered down to that is because we develop beliefs and programs which create filters, which the 5 senses come through, and our subconscious mind, our programming, determines what to keep and what to get rid of. So we delete information coming in. You might tell me a whole sentence and I hear only a few things. And this is, in relationships, infuriating for people, because the man or the woman will say to their partner, I really want to do this, blah, 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 but I just don't want you to get mad about it. And the only thing the partner hears is, I don't want you to get mad. Why is there a reason to get mad? And then they get mad. They didn't hear all the other good that came with it. So we delete information. We'll distort it. We might look at someone and smile, but because of our past, when we got smiled at in that way, or when the eye was a certain way, it meant we're in trouble. So your partner could smile at you, or a friend, but you go, oh, hold on, are they being deceitful? They're smiling, but something's really wrong. We're distorting reality. We don't see reality as it is. We see it as our program says it is, or as we say it is. And then we generalize. So women are fucking bad at this. Men too, but I hear it from a lot of women. There's no good men left. Are you fucking kidding that out of 3.5 billion men on this planet, or 3 billion, whatever it is, there's no good men? Oh, I'm sure there is. And when you dig, they themselves break apart this perception and view on reality. Of course, there's great men. You just keep attracting the shit ones. Why? Because of your filters, not consciously you're doing, but subconsciously, you're doing that. And it's, again, to bring it full circle, that mirror, it's the inside world reflects the outside, and the outside reflects the inside, and it becomes that way because of our programming. And if we can get into the programming and reflect or change what's being reflected, the world becomes very, very different. And it's unfortunately something less than 1% of the population do. They don't get in between those mirrors and change what's actually being reflected between them, and therefore get the result that they want. And it's understandable too. Like, who's taught this shit?
Oh, dude. Well, to be honest, there's a couple things I want to get to as well through that. But like, around 1% of the population is aware of this, right? But I think even if 1% is aware, those 1% are only focusing on it 1% of the time. How often are you consciously aware of what you're actually doing?
95% of our days at an unconscious level. You don't consciously drive. You and I could be driving in a car right now. Like, say if you were driving, we can have this exact same conversation and you'd operate driving fine.
Yeah.
But when you were 16, 17 learning, no fucking way.
I was thinking about that the other day, actually. Yeah. And to be honest, this is a bad habit I have. I play my phone a lot when I'm driving. Like, I might watch a YouTube video, a movie, or whatever it is, and like, okay, this isn't, maybe I'll be careful about how I say this, but to be honest, is what I believe.
Yourself,
I don't
police
believe
listening.
it's unsafe to play your phone. It's against the law, so you should not play your phone. No one should ever play their phone when they're driving, right? I don't believe it's unsafe if you're unconscious about the right things. I'm unconscious about my phone. I'm focusing on the safety aspect of driving. I'm unconscious about the directions I'm driving because I have the GPS going at the same time. It's like you can just focus on where your conscious needs to be when, you know?
And it's not a conscious habit. Joe Dispenza talks about this. The body becomes better than the conscious mind at doing things. Driving, if you try to do it consciously, if you think about it, you'd be clunky with it.
Yeah.
But when you do a habit or something long enough, it becomes a neurological program or a pathway within our body. Like we genuinely have a network that works to do it automatically while we consciously do something else. So to a degree, like with what you're saying, I agree. When we can do something unconscious, we can actually consciously be doing something else and we still do it fine.
Yeah.
It's like brushing your teeth, having a conversation and driving. You're a tradesman. A lot of the work you do, you can do so easily now. Whereas if you actually had to consciously stop and think, I've got to put the nut on and flare the pipe and then put a shifter on it. I've got to be careful with how tight the tension is. You don't do that. You know it by feel. You can close your eyes.
I'm freestyling in my head. I'm rapping. I'm on stage performing while I'm working.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
I mean? Yeah. Well, you can tell if you're driving and you focus on the lines in front of the bonnet. Like it's, someone taught me this when I was driving actually. When I first learned to drive, one of my tradesmen taught me this. He's like, focus on the lines in front of you. I'm like, and I was always looking there, but he's like, now stop looking there and just look as far as your eye can see. Look at that truck all the way up there. And it was just a smooth cruise. Like, it's like my brain was just keeping me in without me noticing it. I remember thinking to myself, like, for the first time, like, wow, I can really get stuff done without paying attention to what I'm doing. Like, that's pretty crazy, you know?
Yep.
So the subconscious mind is obviously in control of everything that's going on. The conscious mind's almost like, it's not saying it's not important, but your day would probably go on whether you're conscious about it or not.
Yep,
it's just
100%.
what you're choosing to focus that consciousness on would depend on how different your day would be, you know?
Absolutely. And that's how people fuck things up. They just unconsciously operate throughout the day based on bad programming and over a long enough period of time. Like if your programming is 1 or 2 degrees off of what you want consciously, in the short term you might not notice it, but over a long enough period of time, you end up at a completely different destination to where you would have if your programming or your conscious and unconscious mind were in alignment. So a lot of our life, if we're not getting the results that we want or in a situation that we don't want, or we have a reoccurring problem, consciously there's probably actually not a lot we can do about it. Like there certainly is, and this isn't to discourage people changing things. It's the only way it really changes when we consciously decide, but we've got to get our body and unconscious mind in alignment with it. Whereas a lot of people have conflict between the conscious and the unconscious.
Yeah, you have to consciously, subconsciously decide to do it. You know what I mean?
You have to get the subconscious within your conscious awareness. And what that looks like is, for example, people might have an unconscious belief that I'm not worthy of this relationship, or they might finally attract a partner that they really want and appreciate and admire. But after the first stage of the relationship wears off, the honeymoon phase, and we become interdependent on them, that's when they become an attachment figure for us. And the attachment figures that we grew up around as children and the way we needed to get love, which might have been, submitting to mum's will and doing whatever she says, is then how we begin to subconsciously react in a relationship now as a grown man. Like it or not, like consciously you won't do it in the beginning. But after enough time with that person, you get comfortable and you subconsciously operate around them. And then all the traumas and the wounds come up. And sometimes you don't even realize doing it. And the way people try to fix their relationship or any problem is, okay, I'm just going to decide I'm not going to do this. And David Goggins and so many people who innocently mean well say this shit, and it's so wrong for 90% of the population. Certain people can just go, I'm deciding I'm doing this, and they do it from a place of pain or absolute desire, like I must have that. But for the average person, and not even just the average person, me included, you included, we've all done it. We have a desire or a goal consciously, but we fuck it up, or we don't do it, or we say, I'm never going to yell at my partner again. I'm never going to tolerate bullshit from them like I did for so long to get to a place where I hurt. But subconsciously we let it happen because we believe or filter the world through the lens that I'm not good enough, or I don't really deserve this, or she loves me so much and I've never been loved like this, so I can't replicate that. So I need to sacrifice my values and adhere to her shit and tolerate intolerable behavior. And then as a result, we fucked the relationship up anyway. So we need to realize what are our beliefs. And to discover our beliefs, we just need to look at the results we're getting. It's not always easy to do it yourself. That's why a coach is important and a good one. But if our results and outcome don't match or marry up with what we consciously want, our subconscious is working against us. And I don't want to discourage anyone not to try, of course, and you can try and consciously will yourself into something. But if you're trying and you're not getting there, it's a fucking big wound somewhere in there, or a really big belief that's so tightly wound to your identity that your subconscious will sabotage you from being able to consciously do something about it.
I wonder, and from your perspective then, and I'm about to transition the conversation into the relationship aspect, but what we're still on this topic is, if your subconscious is what creates the belief system based on the way you perceive the world, especially in those first 7 years, right? And that program has now been, an example might be like, when I acted naughty as a kid, let's just say I got a lot of attention from my parents, which filled that need that I wanted to feel like people were giving me time and effort, right? So then you act up as an adult, you might lash out and like go crazy, whatever it is, and then you get reactions of people, and you built that thing. So you subconsciously believe that that's how you can get it.
Yeah.
If you are unhappy with your situation, can you just consciously make the decision like, I believe that I can start it all again from here? And you know what I mean? If it's the belief aspect that came from the subconscious, it's not the subconscious that's the deciding factor. It's the belief in something that's the deciding factor. Can you consciously just decide to believe in something completely different and be like, no matter what I went through as a kid, from this day forward, I believe I'm going to start treating people differently? Or do you really have to go back deep and just disarm the weapon, you know?
Almost always go back deep and disarm. Almost always. There is the fact that people approach it by trying to do something different. That's the wrong step. We've got to first go back and get rid of it. So instead of trying to add something in, we're going to take something away a lot of the time. It's the equivalent to someone saying, I'm going to be healthy from now on and I'm going to climb Mount Everest all of a sudden, and they don't stop to look down and realize they've got a ball and chain shackled to them. So yes, you can do it and you can absolutely get results and progress forward, but most of the time it's way more complex and harder than they anticipated and end up failing as a result. Or environmental conditions test and challenge them because, again, we subconsciously have to operate in a world that we're familiar with in order to feel safe and meet those needs, which have to be met. And if we try to change that too much, it's like an elastic band. We stretch and we stretch and we stretch. And the further we get away, the more the tension builds up. And if our identity says, no, it needs to be this way, that elastic band like slaps back with like aggression and anger and intensity. It takes us to a place that we don't want to be at, and it creates a lot of pain. So the first step isn't, if you decide, the first step after you decide, I want to be different anymore, like I don't want to be anxiously attached to my partners and always fear something happening. How do I do that? I need to get calmer. I need to be more present. How do I do that? You should perhaps start doing practices and use the two things we talked about before, intensity and time. Intensely and regularly put yourself in a meditative position and read and relax or meditate, for 30 minutes. Commit to 5 minimum, but aim for 30, because if you can sit still and be calm for 30 minutes straight regularly, it's going to recondition your nervous system. And what will happen is, say a situation or relationship will come up where you'll be triggered and you'll want to get anxious and frustrated or hurt, but you'll have that conditioned system or that program within you as well, which if you can tap into, might be a little bit better that time. You might not be perfect. You might still regret it afterwards and go, fuck, I did this, but I was better. So you keep meditating, or you keep a practice that reconditions the nervous system to be calm, and then next time it happens, you're better again. And what happens is your nervous system, the neurology within you actually begins to change. It decreases because the old way, because it's not using that path as much or as intensely, because some of the energy is going down this new path now. And a threshold eventually happens where you biologically and autonomically operate the new way. And then slowly the energy dies in how you used to be and enters the way that you want to be. And then it becomes automatic. And maybe after 3, 6, 9 months of doing it well, you are now that person that you wanted to be. The issue is that's a way to get rid of the automatic behavior. But if there's an identity piece there from an unconscious trauma, again, unconscious, you don't know it exists. You just got to look at the results. Are the results still getting me outcomes that I don't want? Like, are the results something I don't want? Yes. There is a subconscious reason that's happening. And if you don't discover it, you need to go get yourself in an environment where you will. And yeah, sometimes that looks like something you can do. Other times, and for a lot of my clients, they're like, I don't know, I need help. And they come and we talk and we dive and we diagnose very deep and we go, holy shit, a lot of your life and identity all ties back to this moment where you developed a belief as a kid that I'm not good enough, or I'll only be loved if I do this, or, you know, my love from my parents varied based on how well I performed at school or in sport. Therefore, in a relationship, if my partner looks at me wrong or criticizes me or something, that means they're going to love me less. So therefore, I'm going to go into compensation mode. I'm going to freeze, or I'm going to withdraw, which then pisses the partner off because they're like, why are you withdrawing from me? I was just giving you feedback because I love you. But it doesn't look like that to them because of a trauma, which is unconscious.
That's so interesting, bro. I think it's how badly you want it. Like, last night I went and did that breathwork class, and the point of the exercise was to find your inner child. And my friend Alex, who leaded the class and guided everyone through this journey it was a 9D thing. So you had the headphones on, the blindfolds, and you lay it on the floor and you're just like intensely breathing, and he explained the whole thing about your central nervous system. Everything that's ever come in is still in you, and you have to like dive deep. And I went pretty deep in my journey, and I did find a lot of things that I was interested in about myself. Like the first time I ever made a friend, what was that experience like in preschool, and how I've pretty much tried to replicate that exact same thing over and over again over the years. But a lot of people came out of it and they were like, we had a discussion afterwards, and they were talking about like their traumas, like their shit. Like, I won't give it too much information away because it was a private session, but people were going through some pretty fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, like, bro, like, at no point was I even sad through this whole journey. Like, I kind of felt to myself, like, when I was doing it, like, I think I'm still that kid. I don't think I had to find that kid because I think I'm still him. Like, I'm not trying to meet this kid that I once was. And the guided therapy was like, you find him and let him know it's okay. And I'm thinking to myself, but I'm him. Like, you know what I mean?
That's amazing. It sounds like you haven't compartmentalized that part of your life. It's just the kid has continued to grow up and to be the man.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't have that. The kid dies at a certain point. They make a decision. You are now a teenager. You are now an adult. And it's like they compartmentalize it. And then when they can't compartmentalize it or tuck it away, a lot of the other stuff and crap with that never gets resolved. Whereas
that makes sense.
For you, if you've grown up pretty healthily and everyone's gone through shit, if you've got great parents, like everyone's got great parents, it's just if they gave you programming in a way that allowed you to deal with shit head on, and if you had a dad, for example, that made you suffer the consequences of your decisions and not hide away from it and didn't allow you to feel ashamed and tuck away and was like, no, here, breathe, look at me, you're going through this, you're in trouble, this is why. You can process things quite healthily, and you find yourself in a healing situation like that where it's not like, oh, there's a part of my identity that I'm ashamed of or I've tucked away or have disassociated with. It's more of this is nice, and oh, maybe there was a bit of energy there. Shit, I don't like that. And it passes through because it's the first time it's been observed or sat with a new version of you now. And you go, that's not true for me anymore.
Yeah.
So a lot of change can happen. For some people, it's the first time they've addressed a part of themselves that was buried.
Yeah.
It's known as the shadow.
And how important is that, dude? Like, to address what's been buried. Like, because to be honest, I'm going to say this story, fuck it, why not? I remember I had this suppressed memory from when I was a kid, and I recently remembered it, and I told one of my mates about it, right? And the real story is, I can't remember, maybe I told a girl, maybe I was chatting with a girl, I told her, whoever I told about it, but I remember being a kid, I was like in like year 1 or kindergarten, right? And I just started at primary school. And there was a kid in my class, and I heard one of the girls say this kid was cute. And I remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, he kind of looks like he's still a baby. Like, I guess that is what a cute kid is, you know what I mean? Like, he does look like, everyone calls babies cute. This girl, I think the teacher said he's cute. I was like, yeah, he's what you call cute. And then I told mum, oh yeah, I made a new friend today. And she's like, who was it? I said, oh, he's this kid. And I remember saying like, oh, you'd think he's cute. Or I said he's cute or something like that. And I remember the reaction from my mum was like shocking him in a way. And she's like, you can't say that. Like, I think she just didn't want that. It was like a natural instinct. I think what my mum did was nothing wrong with it. But I remember thinking in that moment like, oh, fuck, does she think I think he's cute? You know what I mean? And I think that memory built on for a long part of my life. Like, be careful that people don't think you're attracted to guys. If I'm M or not, I don't give a fuck. I'm not. But I think that I live my life scared that people would think I am, bro. And I'm just like, fuck. So as soon as I had that thought, I just told someone about it. And then it's like, it's gone, bro. Like, I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I think a lot of people I guess there would be a lot of shame for a lot of people, and that's probably an easy example, but I could have easily ran from that thought and not
100%.
admitted it and not said it.
And then that would have lived in one of the 4 lives that we have, which is a secret life. And then you live constantly being ashamed and afraid of that being put into the light. And then in conscious situations, if there's a man near you and you could compliment him, it might pop up and be like, oh shit, don't compliment him because it could look gay.
Yeah.
Again, it's not right, wrong, good or bad. Gay, I got a lot of gay friends. But for a straight man, you don't want to be perceived as gay.
Yeah,
Same as a gay man, they're probably like, no, I am gay.
Yeah.
Or a woman doesn't want to be identified as a man because she's a woman.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't think of me in that way. This is who I am. And you've done a powerful thing there, which is you spoke about it instead of burying it. And the biggest thing for men is shame. That's our biggest limiter. There's a lot, but if we're ashamed of something and we want to hide it from the world, it fucks with our identity, and it almost always keeps us in a fear response, a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And yeah, you de-energize it to a degree because it was a small traumatic thing, but definitely had a lineage or a timeline of events that chained all back to that one and shaped a piece of the way you are. And in discovering it, you went and talked about it, you aired it out to the world, and as a result, de-energized it. And it's no longer true for you. And now if you're unconscious, it goes, oh, that's the worst that could have happened. I just told someone that I could have been gay, and that's what I was always afraid of because of judgment, because of mum in that moment. And now I'm okay and I'm alive. And a new belief is formed in that moment.
Yeah. And it was just interesting. And it's like, to be honest, I didn't do it in a sense where I thought that I'm doing the right thing. Like, I might just be fortunate in a sense where I don't hold as much self-criticism to myself that maybe a lot of people might. Like, I'm very hard to upset, even when it comes to myself. I'm my biggest critic, and I still don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care. So I think it's just fortunate, you know?
I think it's very fortunate. I think it's a healthy belief system to have where your sense of self-worth is derived from an internal locus of control.
Yeah.
You're not externally affected by other people's opinions of you. I mean, I'm sure there's a threshold. If you had 100 people in a day say you're a piece of shit, you'd be like, am I? But if 10 people say it, you're like, no, I'm not. I'm a good human. I know it.
Yeah.
And
I had that conversation recently with my mate Shreyas. He was asking me if someone said something to you like, oh, you look really good today and you didn't feel good today, how would you perceive it? And I was like, I would just think they're wrong. Like, people might give me a compliment at the gym one day and say, hey, bro, you're looking bigger. But that day I felt smaller. I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you even say that's not right? You know what I mean? But then because of that, when there's a bad thing, if someone says, hey, you're looking like you've lost weight, or that's just an easy example because I've gained weight, but let's just say you look sick or you look unwell or something, I'll think to myself like, no, I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
See, and that's great. And the fact that you're aware of that is huge, because as a result now, you can look at the pros and cons of that. Because that's a program you have that isn't right or wrong. The effectiveness determines is it getting you the results that you want. And if it does, and you're not affected by the people, and it gets you to where you want to be, if you're happier more often than not because of it, it's a great belief to have, and it is right for you. The downside of that is potentially maybe you're limiting yourself in some way of being able to receive praise and recognition, which actually would be good. Yeah. And if that's a problem, it's probably like there's a reason. That belief, the reason you do this is because of one moment, probably in childhood, and it's worked. It got you through something, and you've built your identity around it now, and it works. It's just when we become aware of the cons of it, it pays to, at a conscious level, this doesn't change everything, but at a conscious level, at least grab it and say, hey, you're looking good today. Like, you've been training a lot. Instead of denying it, say, thank you, which is going to feel foreign probably.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel weird because you're like letting something in, which also could have a consequence in relationships. Like, maybe we don't let enough in from a partner. We'd have to dig to see to what degree that belief impacts your world. But yeah, you can get rid of the negatives of that. You can keep the positives and get rid of the negatives through internal work, or simply consciously over enough time, if you give it time, attention, and energy and intensity, they'd say, thanks, man. Or like allow yourself to build a belief system. Like, oh, what? Like, what do you mean? I felt like I was looking smaller. This is an ironic and funny way of doing it, but they're like, no, your arms look way bigger from last time. So they're giving you an evidence procedure too. So now logically it has some weight, it holds some water. And if you do that for yourself, what will happen is you allow the good to come in and probably leave the bad at bay. And you're even better because of it.
I haven't thought about it like that. Okay, I'm going to touch on that, and then I definitely want to transition because I'm so interested. But I've never thought about that sense, because I was thinking for a while, like, it doesn't matter what the outside opinion is on me. It's only me who can justify how I feel. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. But as you're saying, time and effort putting into that conscious thought will make you be able to absorb the good news and ignore the bad news. I've been practicing that since episode 1 of the podcast. When a guest would come on, especially in the beginning, my friends would come on and they'd be telling me something like, see, bro, how did you not think you had anything cool to talk about? Like, that's dope. And then I watched my friends kind of like realize, oh, I appreciate you for noticing that or whatever. But then they'd turn around on me and compliment me. And for a very long time, I just want to end that. No. That's not about me, not about me.
By allowing you to deepen your capacity to do that, to receive as well, you'll better be able to give. If we limit our ability to receive, we also directly affect our ability to give that. If we can't receive it, we can't give it. And it goes both ways. If we can't give it, we definitely can't receive it as well. Like we both know, well, you're an example. We know people who can't receive compliments. If they allowed themselves to receive those compliments, they would have a greater capacity to give and share with others as well. And it would come through authentically.
I like that because I did try and work on it through the podcast. And now when someone comes in, even in real life, not just on the podcast, they do compliment me or say, good work, this is cool, that's cool. I remember, I could go back and watch the episodes where I'm like, you know what? I've been trying to consciously make this decision. Like, I appreciate you for saying that, and I just sit in it. And it felt fucking weird, bro. I had to just let them big ups me. I was like,
so
fuck.
Here's the thing. It's sounding like this might actually come from a trauma. But again, traumas or responses are for our benefit. They're not like our body doesn't go, oh, this is fucked up. Let's hold on to this because we're going to be more fucked up because of it. Our body and unconscious mind grabs onto problems and traumas because it's trying to help us. It thinks learning from this or surviving this and the way we survived it is how we survive it again in the future. So it's a protective mechanism. It's to keep us safe. So maybe as a kid, I'm just imagining a scenario here, there was a point where someone said something about you and had you have accepted it, it would have meant shame or guilt or hurt as a kid. So the belief, or you've watched someone do it and deny it and push it back. So maybe you watched a friend get shamed as a kid or made wrong and he hurt from it or he got upset and cried. Then you've seen another friend go, whatever, fuck you, and was good of it. And you went, oh, wow, he just got insulted and he didn't cry like him, he didn't get hurt. That's what I need to do. And as a result, we protect ourselves, but we also limit ourselves. That could have been how that was formed, in which case, if it is, it's a trauma, you go in and you heal with the root cause of it, install new beliefs, so you keep the part that works, because it's great as well. You have an internal locus of control, which means as long as you feel good about yourself, fuck the outside world, I'm good. But that has its downsides. So if we can keep that and install other beliefs that support it and get rid of the reasons that we needed to defend from outside opinion, we as a person become more complete and we just get more of the good.
Yeah, that's mad, bro. It's so interesting, bro. I love listening to the way you can break down, because there's all just thoughts that I have, the small thoughts throughout the day that I don't put too much effort into, but it's like breaking down the scientific aspect of what's actually happening to make people who they are. Yeah. It just sets evidence in my brain to make them so much more like, oh, it's not just a thought, like that's legit now, you know?
And you said a really telling thing. You said it felt uncomfortable when you started taking and sitting in it and like allowing yourself to, what did you say, like get gassed up?
Like big ups is the word I always use for it. Like it's like, because I felt myself getting lifted up, but it felt weird to do it. So I had to just like allow it.
Let me ask you a question. What would it mean, or what would you have to accept about yourself if you did get lifted up like that? What's the first response that comes to mind?
Well, it's funny because it's like I've kind of learnt to deal with it now. So to put myself back in that position before, it would be, I had to allow myself to feel proud. And that's not something that I ever really allowed myself to do up until that point before.
So there's a reason you didn't want to allow yourself to feel proud about something. And this is a question, this is where it's important to give the first, almost intrusive thought that comes up, because that's what's not true for you, but for your body or for your unconscious mind. So when you were younger, what did it mean if you were proud? Or how did you get punished for being proud about something?
Okay, I like that. It's honestly, it's very hard. It's like I don't really know. I'd have to spend more time diving deep into what it means to feel proud about something that I shouldn't feel proud of.
Well, when you were younger, what did it mean if someone was too proud about something, or if they were if there was a moment where you've seen someone being proud, what consequences happened as a result of that for that person, or what did someone say about them that you heard? Or even for you, where were you proud at a point? Like I'm sure a memory would come up. It's like, oh, maybe it was that. Where maybe you were proud and someone said something and shut you down. Mm-hmm. Or maybe someone was being proud or like looked really good and people started talking shit about them. And as a result, you went, oh, wow, don't stand out too much. Don't be proud, because that'll happen.
I think that growing up, I never really did notice anyone being prideful or proud, or nor did I know what that feeling meant. But I think the older I got, it started to become more of like when people started focusing on how they looked, when people were being a bit more, let's just say as a kid, if people starting to work out, go to the gym, people are a bit more prideful. Oh yeah, I look so good. Chicks started to like put too much effort into how they look, and everyone would rubbish that person, and they'd be like, oh, he spends too much time. It was the first time I'd ever hear the words like arrogant or cocky or egotistical or things like this. And I think that I never wanted to be the type of person who thought of myself as good, because anyone who I noticed was thinking of themselves as good, everyone was always talking shit about themselves, talking shit about them,
Do you see how that could, to some degree, subconsciously sabotage us by having an opportunity to be good, but then we go, oh, that might mean X. So we might limit our approach towards something or our actions towards a certain direction because of a subconscious fear of not being accepted anymore or being judged in a way that we don't want to be judged.
Definitely. But I think it also, on that same topic, it does work hand in hand on a positive lens because I don't allow myself necessarily, and still to this day I'm working on it, but I don't allow myself to feel proud until I really, really see results. Like, it doesn't matter how good something's getting. I always think, man, in 6 months from now, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And then in 6 months from then, it could be 10x the fold in which it was. And that could be anything when it comes to saving money or pursuing women, or it could be like content creation or whatever I'm focusing on. It could be 10 times what it was, but I'm always like, yeah, but imagine it in 6 months from now. I don't really allow myself to put too much acceptance and praise and recognition to what's happening. It's always like next.
Yeah.
Then it will be good enough.
And that's amazing for business. And it's a benefit. There's always, like a coach that I was listening to recently talks about how there's always benefits and drawbacks to every trait or every belief. That's how it serves you. It just would limit you in other ways. The issue that would come with that, though, and just something to be consciously aware of, and beginning to go, okay, maybe I should celebrate some of these victories along the way, because it's so easy to not feel fulfillment with that mindset and pursuit. Tony Robbins, back to him again, talks about the art of fulfillment and the science of achievement. It sounds like you're on a great path in terms of the science of achievement and you're thinking long term, but we can inevitably end up there at the end result and never having celebrated along the way, or it doesn't feel that great because we've deprived ourselves of the benefit of milestones and achievements.
Yeah, dude,
and the
that
problem
is
is
100%.
What if it doesn't take 6 months? What if it takes 6 years? You've just been nowhere near as happy and fulfilled as what you should have been for 6 years. And the outcome even still then isn't guaranteed. And as a result, it can affect other areas like a relationship, because you limit your fulfillment and your ability to celebrate and actually be happy and satisfied with something. Could affect how you show up to a partner.
Oh, dude, this is so evident. I tell you what, because when you said that, it's like, if it takes me 6 months, whatever, if it takes me 6 years, same thing. To me, I don't really care. It's the pursuit in which I'm going for. And that's my fulfillment. My fulfillment comes from the pursuit in which I'm chasing. But in that sense, you're right, because I never feel present. I never feel grateful for my moments. And even in relationships, that's a good example. The first thing that popped into my head was like, let's just say I'm having sex with a girl, right? Let's just say my priority is like performance. And I'm thinking to myself like, fuck yeah, I'm going to focus my attention on her instead of it being on me, right? It doesn't matter how great, let's just say, the end result is. Even in the moment of doing it, I'm thinking, fuck yeah, next time I'm going to be so much better. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's just one example.
I know her body even more now, and that was great. She's more comfortable, so we can go deeper next time.
But it's never even about now, dude. It's just like, holy shit, figured it out. Boom, next time's going to be better. But that's like, that could be like sharing a nice meal with a girl. That could be like, talking about how we feel. Like, even in those moments of a good relationship, which I've been in many times, I'm always fixated on, man, this is going to make that better.
Yeah.
Don't worry about this.
This really amazing dinner I'm taking on is going to make it feel so good that in 3 months' time, we're going to have such a great relationship instead of being able to appreciate it now.
Yeah. I really struggle with presently appreciating, not from a sense of gratefulness. I'm grateful. I practice gratitude every morning when I wake up, and I thank God, because I believe in God for every opportunity I get, every time I think of it. But like, it doesn't allow me to feel joy in the moment, different than gratitude.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you believe in God, God has good intentions for us, right? Do you think God, your father or your creator, would want you to be able to be present in the moment and take in this gift of life that he's given us?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something very telling about what you're saying, because it's got a lot of benefits. But I'm sure even now in saying that, you're like, I'm aware of what it costs me not being able to be present, and you're consciously aware of it, yet it's still a problem. This is a perfect example how this is a subconscious part of your identity that probably isn't allowing you to very easily consciously change that. Because I'm sure if right now you had a button to press, you'd say be more present in those moments. The problem is there's a reason why you're not. And if we can dig at that and find it and then remove whatever reason our subconscious thinks we need to hold on to being that way for, we can allow ourselves to actually show up how we want to. And then when we do it enough times, not even that much, even if it's just one intense time, we then reshape our identity to automatically be present then. And it consciously starts with, if it's not deep healing work, like in a dedicated environment where it's like, we're going to go to the unconscious, we're going to go into the shadow, we're going to find the root cause, we're going to remove it and install what we do want. The alternative is to consciously just practice little steps at a time. Don't David Goggins it and say, I'm going to try and fucking run a marathon overnight. That doesn't work, especially if the subconscious mind is fighting you. If it does want to work with you, it can work. But again, 99% of people that I meet don't have the ability to fight their unconscious mind and overcome their limiting beliefs or traumas that are held onto for their greater good. So if you consciously go, how can I be more present in this moment with this woman? Sex, for example. How can I be present in this moment? Focus on a specific sensation, a specific point. If you like thinking about work, or if you're thinking about the future and what this is going to mean or equate to, there's so many practices we can talk about after this about how to become present in the moment and just take that little bit with you. And as a result, you then exude a great energy, or you'll then be better able to give even more, specifically in sex. Like the more present we are in sex, the more she'll feel us. Yeah. The more we can pour into her, and then it creates this process of reciprocity, of give and take. And that's probably a thing. You're a giver by nature, right?
Definitely, yeah.
But you're not a very good taker. And in relationships, that hurts the relationship, because a core feminine need every woman has, whether she's a more feminine or masculine woman, whether she's straight or gay. All women, if they're born as a woman, they have this innate need to contribute to the relationship. And if they don't have the ability to somehow give back, or to feel that they contribute to your life in some way, it builds an unconscious angst in them, because you don't have as much value in them, because you don't get as much from them, because they're not able to contribute to you. So it tells the subconscious mind in the female, I'm actually not that secure, because what do I bring to his life? He provides, he doesn't make me cook because he's such a people pleaser and he does it all the time. So how can I actually get buy-in from him, other than just the fact that he loves me for who I am? And most women have self-worth issues. So if she's already thinking, I don't have self-worth, and he's not super attached to me because he doesn't need me because I can't give him anything, it fucks the relationship up. Damn. And it's a well-meaning intent too. Yeah,
okay. Well, look, there's definitely some points I want to get in with my past relationships based on things you just said, but I want to know, the main focus that I know you for is the relationship advice that you give, right? And I want to know how, and I know you transitioned after your last journey with the trade industry, getting into media, and now that's your coaching, one of the main topics of coaching, right? But how did you learn what you needed to learn to now be able to give the advice that you give inside of relationships with couples,
I learned what I learned to give the advice that I give in relationships, not solely because of my personal experience, which a lot of it has come from. I've been through very dark holes. I haven't actually said this on camera before, but I've got to a point where I considered suicide in a past relationship, right towards the end, and for a very short period of time before I woke up and said, what the fuck are you doing? But it precedes that and goes back to my coaching training, where I learned about the unconscious mind and the roles that traumas and belief systems and environments play in how we shape ourselves and then how we show up. And it was in my ongoing research and development as a coach that I learned how relationships act as our biggest mirror. And when we attach to somebody, so at an unconscious level, like if you're a human, you breathe, right? As a human, when you get close to someone, you attach to them, you parabond. And when that happens, they become a reflection of ourselves to some degree. Like even to the short degree that we've known one another, to some degree, you're a reflection of me as I am to you. If I did something outlandish right now, you would have a certain judgment or like thought about it, which actually reflects a lot more about you than it does me, and vice versa. So that on a intimate relationship level is amplified so intensely. And I learn all this through people like John Gottman and John Bowlby, who created attachment figures and styles. I learn it through so many resources. But my biggest thing with relationships isn't, I don't have a fixed set of advice. Like what I tell you might be very different to the next person, because it's not based on just this perfect relationship model being right for everybody. It's based on our unique principles and values and who we are and who we want to be, who our identity says we want to be, which is always a beautiful, loving, positive intent. There's no human that genuinely has real, raw evil within them and they want an evil outcome. Even when people do evil, nasty shit, it's usually to meet a need for a positive, in a positive way.
In their self-beneficial belief, yeah.
It's just fucked up and it gets deleted, distorted and generalized in a weird way and comes out through perversions or fucked up shit because they're so traumatized and they're ashamed of stuff and trying to avoid it, so they do things out of alignment with how they'd consciously like to do it.
Yeah, even a narcissist thinks they're doing the right thing. You know, it's just for them.
Yeah, and like I know men, I've worked with men that would, like probably nowadays because the word gets thrown around so easily, but would have been deemed a narcissist because I was so on their partner about being more respectful. And I actually went, he's like, I get called a narcissist a lot for caring about, you know, my level of respect and my partner looking this way in public, like to make me look good. And I went, that's actually not narcissistic. That's your survival. Like we don't have a sword and shield nowadays to defend ourselves. Our defense is our reputation, our name. There's nothing greater that can harm a man than his reputation being damaged. And a woman is directly tied to your reputation. So if she's making him look a certain way, I'm like, it makes sense that you're so concerned about it and you're onto her. The problem isn't that you want respect and her to act a certain way, which she should. Otherwise, it's not a compatible relationship and she or you should leave. The problem is how you react to it. Why is that so important? And when we dug deeper into his trauma, we discovered there was a lot of childhood trauma where there was disrespect and issues between his mum and dad. And those issues of mum not respecting dad in public led to consequences for dad, which affected the whole family. And his belief and mindset said, if mum didn't do this, we would have had this. Mum is the problem. Mum's disrespect of dad was the problem. He didn't also see that dad was a bit of a dick as well and didn't show up in certain ways that as a man you need to for a woman, which would then cause your partner, your wife, your mirror to treat you like shit. It made sense when we unpacked it all, and it wasn't just consciously like, oh my God, it was subconsciously like, wow, that's why I do that and why it's so important to me. When we healed it, he still had the issue of respect in his relationship, but he showed up very different, and he didn't need to say very much after that because he now showed up in alignment with the other three versions of himself, which is public life, community life, private life, secret life. When they're all disintegrated in very different versions of us, your woman will fuck you up very much and will reveal all your shit. And yeah, you'll end up looking like a narcissist when in reality you just have needs that aren't being met because traumas are being triggered by their actions, which you've attracted to heal. When we got rid of that, he started showing up less needy, less anxiously, less demanding. She felt safer. What's going on? He just said, look, I just want this. In public a few times, she didn't show him respect the way he wanted. He walked away. What's wrong? I just don't appreciate that you did this. Not right by me. He started to value himself instead of demanding it. He didn't put boundaries in place, but he actually put consequences in place. I'm not going to tolerate that. She changed so quickly. He came back to me. He was so aware of what we did, but he kind of became ignorant to a degree. And he said, bro, she's changed so much. It's been great. Like, I just don't know what's happened. She's just better now. I'm like, bro, it's you.
Yeah.
She's responding to you because you aren't being the needy, anxious person anymore that made her the way she was. And he went, oh, that was my fault the whole time then. I was like, yeah. So
it's such a hard thing to accept, I guess, even to want to go down that rabbit hole, knowing that that's something you have to work on. To work on your relationship, you have to work on your own flaws. It's not something that people probably expect when they're going to try and help from their relationship. They think, help them be better for me, not help me be better for us, you know?
There's an interesting spin on this. This is like, why are you attracted to someone that has traumas and needs fixing anyway in the first place? Like, why did you love that person over another woman that might have loved you just as much, that actually came with a lot of good? It all comes back to how we filter the outside world and how we delete, distort, and generalize it. So they're NLP terms. And it's just how our brain works. When we understand how our brain works, which isn't us, like we have a brain, like we have a tool or a gun, we choose what to do with it. But we just got to understand the nature of the gun. Like it doesn't matter how, if you have a gun and you can save somebody's life from a criminal, it's no use to you if you don't know how to pull the trigger. It's no use to if you don't know how to get a bullet to put in the chamber to shoot. It's actually the equivalent to a useless, almost nuisance that would limit you being able to go up and physically defend, the people you want to protect from the person. You're wasting your time trying to figure the mechanism of this thing out that could protect you. Your brain's the same. It can protect you or it can really hurt you. And in relationship coaching and the way I help, it's not necessarily you need to say this. I teach all that. I do have a model of how a relationship works. I have core feminine needs that I teach men, which if you meet these, not only do you make her feel loved and her to love you and be attracted to you, no matter how long you've been together, but it prevents her traumas from getting brought up in the first place and getting in the way of the relationship. Because that's all it really is. If we're attracted to each other, there's a lot of good there, but our past gets up in the way. If we remove that or prevent them from being activated, it's a really healthy relationship. You don't have to do all this trauma work. So I teach those techniques on the back end of also dealing with the trauma. So not only is there no shit to get in the way, but now even when something does come up with this outside forces at play, you so easily know how to deal with it.
That's so interesting. And do you think, all right, a couple of questions I want to ask you then is like, because a lot of people would be coming because they're having problems inside their relationships, right? So maybe it's just maybe it's the man who's reached out, because I know that the content, men recognize men. Like we see people giving advice and if I see a girl online saying, hey, I'm going to teach a man how to do this, I'm not as inclined to listen, but I'm assuming to say a lot of them are men reaching out, or if they are couples coming together, what's some of the biggest issues that you think that couples face together? What's some of is it common themes, or is it completely different for everyone and every time?
There's certainly themes, and I'll speak to it from a male perspective and a female perspective, because I have both coming to me now. As of the last month, I've actually got more women coming to me than men, interestingly.
Yeah.
So something about my message is resonating with women. The feedback I've got is, you're so right, I didn't look at it this way. When I started doing this one thing different that you suggested in the video, my man started treating me better. Maybe he's not a narcissist, for example.
Yeah.
But for men, the common issue I see in relationship is that they don't feel respected, recognized, or appreciated for what they do. It's so common. And on the back end of that, they typically don't feel a certain level of devotion. Like they don't feel absolutely secure and comfortable in their relationship, in that their partner would never cheat on them, or that they would have their back no matter what. Like a lot of men, when you dig down and ask, like, would you trust her in a club if like a really wealthy rich guy was hitting on her and like flowering her? Like, is she conscious enough and privy enough to know what's going on? Or is she ignorant and would allow a guy to flirt with her and connect with her and then purposely allow something to come of it? There's a lot of, and that's its own realm. That's a big constant
realm.
anxiety.
I don't know how I answer that. I don't know if I've ever felt that. Yeah.
If women, this is a message to the women out there. If a woman can make her man feel unquestionably loyal to him, and like no matter fucking what, like any man, like Chris Hemsworth.
I always use Chris Brown as my example.
Chris Brown, yeah, exactly. If they could come hit on them one-on-one, and you know that even if she could sleep with them and no one ever found out about it, if you could trust her to say no to a situation like that, that man will fucking die for that woman.
Do I have an issue then? Because I'm going to ask you, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if no one's ever going to find out. Maybe, I'm going to do a little bit of self-diving as well, but like maybe it's a me problem. Maybe I don't know if I'd be trustworthy enough to be able to sleep with Rihanna, which is the equivalent I always use to Chris Brown, and no one's ever going to find out. Like,
makes sense.
I don't know if I would. I don't know. I'm not in that situation, and nor do I have anyone right now that I love enough.
On a values level, you say you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But if it met a big enough need, so you might. That's probably the concern there. Would I? Here's something to take away from this, and I want you to continue. Just something to consider is that we will violate our values and principles and morals. We will break them to meet a need, and we have, like Tony Robbins talks about, 6 core human needs, and there's more. But there's significance, safety, and uncertainty. Uncertainty is also known as variety. Imagine the amount of variety and significance you would feel to human needs that you have to meet if Rihanna was sitting on you and you could sleep with her. That would fulfill you in ways that are crazy. And there's also growth. A human need is growth. So you would feel like you're going to grow. What does this mean for me? So would you do it, particularly if you had values that weren't being met by a female partner? I would say yeah. And you're not doing something wrong there. If you're put in that situation, your body would fucking demand it. Hormones would be bathing, like oxytocin, serotonin, adrenaline would all be bathing your body to do this, and you would feel nearly like a drug addict towards cocaine would. Sorry, that's not that big of a deal. We've all done that.
Yeah.
But a meth addict to meth, that craving and that animalistic, almost forceful urge to do it would kick in. And the only thing that would stop you is conscious principles and values that you've really got to practice adhering to and putting above all else. Or as if those needs were met so well by your partner, that would stop you.
And maybe the belief in the sense that
If
the
you
other person wouldn't do vice versa.
Whereas if you're in that situation, and you feel like your partner would do it if it was Chris Brown, you're like, fuck it, this feels so good. She would do it to me. She's also not meeting my needs. We argued the other day. I don't think it's wrong, just to put on the record, we both know that you shouldn't, but you can have empathy as to why you would and sympathize with the fact that
I think I'm just acceptant of it. Like, I don't even know if I'd be that upset. I think I'd just be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's like, I think the shock value is what usually comes to my biggest problem when someone does something that I don't appreciate. Like, what I don't understand why you would do that. But I think if a situation would come up where like Chris Brown's hitting on the girl that I'm dating and she sleeps with him, I think I'd be like, wow, why? I think I'd be like, makes sense.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it wouldn't hurt. Doesn't mean it wouldn't hurt. Doesn't mean I would continue to be with her.
Yeah.
But it just definitely means that I'm like not shocked in a sense, you know.
And look, there's men out there that this whole pass card bullshit, like they think, oh, if that ever happened, I'd be okay with you doing it. Fuck no.
No way. I always have that conversation with my missus. Every girlfriend I've ever had.
With another man being able to like do whatever they want with your partner, and she's allowing it and wants it to happen because he's so much more higher in status than you.
Yeah.
Like, what does that not tell the conscious brain, you as a person, how insignificant you are then to her for her to want to go sleep with another man because they're higher value than you and they can give her more than you? It like in terms of perception. And not only that, that man doesn't want to love and protect her. He's not going to die for her. You would. So hold on. She's going to choose to sleep with another man for a moment of significance and disrespect a guy that would literally take a bullet for you.
Yeah.
Doesn't add up.
You know what's funny? Only the girls have ever brought up the hall pass. I've never been the one to bring it up. Only ever have girls ever bring up hall pass. It would be your hall pass. It would be, I'm thinking, bitch, don't play this game with me. Like, I don't like this game. Like, I'm happy to play it if you want to play it, but it's like, one, you're not going to like my answer either way. But two, like, I don't want to think about it.
My hall pass is.
yeah.
Like, how do you feel about that?
Your best friend.
It's just it's a dumb idea. It's like
that's hilarious.
It's like saying what's better, apples or oranges. It's like they're both good for you. And then it's the opposite end of that. There's just dumb questions like saying people who like water are bad. It just doesn't logically fucking compute when you really think about it. Like, hold on, people who don't like water are bad. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about the concept of who we're okay cheating on each other with?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental flaw in psychology and perception. And it's been made okay through society.
Yeah.
And look, it's... Where were we? What
well, one thing I wanted to ask you as well, you're saying that the biggest problem that a lot of guys face is issues in their relationship is that they don't feel respected and appreciated for what their place is in the relationship.
Yep.
Do you think that they feel that way because they're not? Or do you think in those situations a girl is respecting and appreciating them, they're just not they're not noticing it?
I find most of the time when men don't feel respect from their partner, it's usually warranted to some degree. Maybe not to the degrees that they're receiving it from their partner or to those depths, but usually the man's not showing up. And it comes back to these 4 lives that I often talk about. You know, publicly, the woman will fall in love with the public perception of us, who they first meet in the honeymoon phase. But then after a while, we enter the second stage of a relationship, which is the power struggle, and they see more of our private life. Sometimes they see sides of us that we've hidden in our secret life, so things that we're ashamed of. Like men might have a porn addiction. She would discover it and be like, what's this? He's so ashamed and it doesn't align with who she thought he was. And each time she discovers more and more about him, or these different lives that don't also align with the public perception of him that she had, she falls more out of love with him, or we're a few more degrees off from where we thought we were going. And eventually it gets to a point where it's like there's such a disconnect. And if the woman doesn't just leave him and respect herself enough, or she loves him so much that she will stay and tolerate it, she can't help but show him disrespect. She can't help but treat him different. It's human nature. We do that. And he'll be like, yeah, she's not respecting me. It's like, do you see why though? It's very often that they don't deserve the respect. I mean, we all do, but you can understand why she stopped showing it, because her safety is dependent on you. And if you don't look like you're congruent and consistent, safety, the foundation of the house is weak and things are unstable. So she's going to test you until you become consistent and safe and you integrate all 4 of these lives into one consistent one. So it's almost always when the guy is saying, oh, I feel a lack of respect and appreciation. It's a real problem and she has a role to play in it that she should fix. But the man can also take 100% responsibility and fix it as well. There's a great book and in it, I've taken this from it and I've said it so often, it's that you may not be the problem. She very well could be the problem, but you can 100% be the solution as well. And if you take accountability for what she's showing you disrespect over and look at it and say, is this actually true or is there any truth to it? And then fix it, the disrespect should stop. And if it doesn't, there's probably something else. There's a layer beneath the layer that we just solved. And when you fix that, then it'll be okay. That, or the issue isn't to what not to do now, what to do, but it's a matter of, do I respect myself enough to not tolerate intolerable behavior? Because there's another trauma or wound most men come to me with. They come to me with this surface issue, this much deeper or greater one that alludes to not only that problem, but many other problems in the relationship. So it's almost always, an issue of disrespect, infidelity. I don't feel like I can trust her because, again, she doesn't devote herself to me enough. She doesn't trust my leadership, which is all needs we as men want from our woman. Like women have core feminine needs, we have masculine needs. If the woman doesn't meet them, to some degree, we're uneasy. So he's saying these needs aren't being met. It's because there's a trauma that's causing you to show up in a way that doesn't want to meet those needs of yours. So the unfortunate thing is a lot of men do come to me, not a lot, but enough, saying, I had this issue with her. Can you help me fix her? And 99% of the time, we end up discovering shit they're doing and they go, holy fuck. I've had men come to me who had been cheated on, but they have a family and they want to fix it, make it work. I try not to put my belief into, I don't think that's a good idea. I say, what's right for the family? Let's give it a red hot crack, make sure we do the best we can and fix it. And when we do, almost always, it's worth it.
Yeah, that's a crazy conversation. I don't know if I believe it's the right thing. Obviously for the kids, that's a very selfless thing to do. And
I commend the men for that. And it's different when there's kids involved. And the reason I would say leave. If you don't have kids, fuck off.
Yeah, 100%.
First, realize what led to you creating the situation for them to want to cheat on you to happen in the first place. What role you played in that, fix that. Because if you don't fix it, you'll repeat in the next one and the next one and the next one. But often, the issue does start with us. So the external place that we're pointing a finger at, if you look, there's usually 3 fingers pointing back at us. And when we fix that, and we end up doing trauma work or release work or, fixing our psychology, the issue in our partner disappears. I've even had men who, their partner cheated on them. When we start digging up their shit and fixing them and healing them, they genuinely say, I feel empathy for my wife. Like, I'm actually stoked that she stayed with me after all this shit I put her through. It sucks that she cheated on me and that's fucked, but I actually get why she did.
Yeah.
When they understand the core feminine needs and he didn't create safety, significance, joy for her, it makes sense that and again, their needs, they are oxygen to us. If without them, we die. So she goes and meets that need because another man provides it for her that isn't going to make her feel unsafe or wrong for it. And then they cheat and they go, fuck, I just got a dose of that need being met. I feel alive again, but what have I just done? I just broke my morals and values and principles to get that need met, and it creates conflict. So when men get to a place where they understand, like, oh, fuck, I was responsible for that. It's not just I'm a victim and woe is me, and I can do something about it. It's quite beautiful. It's just usually a bumpy road getting to that point.
I can imagine that would be. I mean, if it all worked out in the end, like what a beneficial thing to have committed to the idea of fixing the problem. But it's hard being an outsider looking at it, just imagining it's me being the guy being cheated on, thinking to myself, I'd love to be able to see the light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah.
Because that's a tunnel that I don't know has light at the end because I guess I haven't walked down it.
There's been men that have come to me that I've absolutely said run from this relationship as well. And because some relationships aren't started with the intention being to be together for life. Sometimes it's a subconscious thing where we've attracted them to heal something in ourselves.
Oh, I've been there. I've done it. I've been in relationships where I've loved girls, loved them. And to be honest, I still love them today. But I've known, like, this is temporary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And often it reveals something about ourselves that we either rejected or denied or suppressed or gave away. And we take it back. The idea and the outcome is meant to take that back and reclaim that through that relationship. And then it's meant to healthily end. Often it doesn't, but that's like a rule of mine, for example. If I'm in a relationship and it's going to end, my rule is to make sure the woman's better because of it, as hopefully am I. But yeah, there's been men who've come to me and I said, do you see how you've attracted her to bring up all this trauma of yours as being a people pleaser, for example, and how now you've realized what giving up and like yourself and sacrificing your values has led to, only to meet her needs, who doesn't pull back in you. And they're like, fuck yeah, my mum, like my dad did this with my mum. As a kid, I had to appease mum by doing exactly as I was told, otherwise I got disapproval and I wasn't loved. And then we carry that into adulthood and into our relationships. And when we heal the core wounds and get back to the root cause of it and get rid of that, they're like, fuck, I don't even want to be with her. I was like drunk for 3 years being with her. What the fuck was I thinking? And it's like, yeah, thank God for her though, because now look who you are and who you're going to be for the next relationship. And the idea is that usually they leave the relationship almost always thankful and very respectful towards that woman. Thanks. And it's interesting. Like I've had a guy who's like, she treated me like shit. She hit me. She abused me. She stole. She lied. Cheated. And I gave and gave and gave. And I was like, yeah, like, do you not see how like literally you respected yourself to fucking deal with that? And he's like, wow, thank you to her for that.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's thanking this woman who was an absolute garbage piece of human at that stage in her life. But she'd done so much good for him. And now as a result, he's seeing a woman and he's very fucking happy. And she's completely different to all the previous partners he's dated. And it's because he entered that traumatic cycle of repeating the same pattern that we're familiar with from childhood.
I had a friend said to me on the podcast as well, like you learn everything, you go through a relationship, it might last 5 years, but you'll take everything you learned through that relationship and take it to the first day on the next one. And then and it made me think to myself like, yeah, I've done that a lot. But however, if I haven't unpacked the relationship properly, I've taken it to another one and had a completely different relationship, and everything that worked from that one worked in that, but I found a whole new underlying bunch of issues that I didn't like, took that onto a next one. And then from that one, it's like, okay, well that one and that one equaled this one, but that one still didn't work out, you know? And it's like there's a constant theme of things that aren't working out, but I do find, however, the relationships are becoming more and more beneficial in whatever I've been devoting the problem towards, you know what I mean? That's the problem in that one. That's never do that again.
Yeah.
Take it to that relationship. But then there was a brand new, shit.
Yeah.
Let's never do that one again.
I thought we've dealt with all this stuff.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like the same. If this is me personally, I'm not in a cycle of doing the same thing over and over again. However, I'm in a cycle of relationships not working out. I'm single at the moment. And I've had many long-term relationships. Like say if I'm alive for 26 years, I swear to God, I would have had a girlfriend for 22 of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
started young.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting to know. And like that's some of the biggest problems that men face being in a relationship, not feeling respected and appreciated. What's some of the biggest problems that females and women find in a relationship?
Some of the biggest problems females face in relationships and that they come to me for is having weak men. That's at least the type of audience I'm attracting. And my message resonates with women who find themselves in a relationship who are no longer attracted to the man they're with, or that they're not fulfilling them enough and they want to be with them, but they just go, I don't know if he's capable of becoming and being who I want him to be. And it's a very real issue because I empathize with them. Like, there's a lot of shitty men out there, and it's not that they're a shit human, it's just they've got shitty traits and behaviors because society, for starters, has condemned masculinity as a whole. A lot of men have been raised by mothers. So, and it's no knock to mothers, it's just that they need to be also raised by men, and often they aren't. We've got the trauma from our previous generations within us and undesirable and unfavorable behaviors. We've got this guilt, this shame of trying to suppress our masculinity while trying to provide for a woman and being made wrong for it. It's a whole array of reasons why there's a lot of men who aren't equipped to show up for a woman the way they'd like them to. There's also the fact that women go, fuck man, I'm independent and I'm not going to submit to their leadership. And I use that word very intentionally. Like if you want a healthy relationship between man and woman, she needs to learn when to submit, when to support, when to give. And him to her too. It's usually very triggering for women to think of that. But it's the reality of it. It's like you can't love a man that doesn't lead. Women crave that. I want a man that's going to lead me, but I'm not submitting to him. So there's a lot of trauma in women where they've got to learn how to love a man in the way that he needs loving and treat a man, which again, they don't often know what's really important to him. They don't know how significant and fucking damning a lack of respect is for him, even if he doesn't deserve it. he still should be respected if they want him to feel loved. And I say that because respect to a man is what safety is to a woman. Even if the woman's being an asshole, she still deserves the right to feel safe, right? If she's being a dick in a relationship, there's a heated argument, should she feel afraid of her safety being compromised? No. Well, a man needs that in terms of respect. A woman should never disrespect a man. You can. Men make their women feel unsafe. It all happens. It's just if you want a healthy, congruent relationship that's going to work and allow for problems to be resolved and actually move on from, he needs respect. That's a man's love, respect.
I think a lot of people expect to get into a relationship to have all their needs met. You know, like I think using myself as an example. I expect to get into a relationship to feel the validation and the feelings that I expect and almost ignorantly decide I deserve to feel, you know what I mean? But I don't have the intentional mindset of like, but what am I meant to be doing for her? Even though I am still trying to be the right person, I'm still trying to do all these things, but it's like, it's almost like women have a need that needs to be fulfilled and men have a need that needs to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
I am genuinely expecting my needs to be fulfilled and I'm assuming what her needs need to be. You know what I mean? I'm not really, and I led the conversation with what's the biggest problem men face in relationships, because I'm trying to use myself as an example to be able to relate to your examples for. But I should have definitely led with what do women feel the most problem for in a relationship, because that's actually the thing that I need to listen to. You know, it's...
Well, as true as that is, I'd say that equally as important, because I would argue that yes, women's needs need to be fulfilled in order for them to give back to you. But too many men, we know a lot of men, we've both done it ourselves where we've given in a relationship and the woman absolutely feels fulfilled. But do we feel fulfilled? Often not. We have needs that, again, are like oxygen to humans. We have to meet them, and we will, like it or not. We can pretend that we're going to suppress it all we want, but we can only hold our breath for so long before we have to take a breath of air. And the interesting thing is, even if we hold our breath long enough to the point where we pass out, our body starts breathing for us.
Yeah.
We have to meet these needs, and we will no matter what. And if we go long enough without meeting them, typically we see nice guys become very violent because they become angry at the fact that I've given so much. Why in my time of need won't you fucking give to me? And it turns not just angry. Anger's okay. Aggression's not. They turn aggressive. They make her feel unsafe. So we do need to learn how to meet a woman's needs. And often we meet some, but not all. And in doing that, we need to also make sure ours are being met, because it's like a cup. We only have so much to give. And if we pour out of our cup without filling it up and getting our needs met, we end up with nothing left to give. That's why relationships over time slowly degrade and deteriorate, because constant little disrespects or constant little lack of giving to each other, and our cups end up empty and we've got nothing left to give each other. So as important as it is to meet her needs, it's also important to make time for yours to be met too, and most men don't do that. In saying that, when we are meeting a woman's needs, we're often fucking that up as well. So it's just all angles typically are working against people in relationships, because it's complex. There's a bit to it. There's a method to make them work, and we don't get taught that.
No, we do not. But I think like a religious principle, if you're going to base a relationship, especially a marriage, on what a massive historical example has been of what healthy relationships should look like. If you're going to use biblical, I'm sure you can use the same as like Muslim or your other Sikh, or I'm sure you can use these examples too. But it's like if you do base on the fundamentals of what men and women deserve more than need, just like deserve, you know, then you do find more statistical benefits in, let's just say, less divorce rates and more longevity, and, you know, kids have grown up to be a bit more well, even not just well mannered, but just like happier people, because they've put effort into that relationship, you know. And it's like from my experience, I think a lot of people are running away from relationships before they even become unhealthy. You know, and
because they're afraid.
Yeah, and I've never really been in a really unhealthy relationship. I've been in toxic relationships, which is different than unhealthy, because a toxic relationship is like,
you're tolerating shit you shouldn't be tolerating.
Yeah,
or
but it's not even like it's against my feelings. It's just against my lifestyle. Like we are definitely helping each other do the wrong things. It might even be like abusive substances. It might even be like putting yourself in dangerous situations.
Condoning each other to do drugs and go and party all the
time.
Yeah,
things like that. That's a good example. And for me, that was a toxic relationship, because we'd fight, get in arguments and stuff like that when we were out. But that's just because we're under the influence of substances and things like that as well. But that relationship, talking about for example, obviously had to end. I didn't want to live that life anymore. But I do feel like a lot of the time relationships are being cut short before they have been given the time to get better, you know? And so maybe I shouldn't have ran away from relationships I ran away from. And I'm wondering, like, do you think every relationship can be fixed if both participants are willing to fix them? Or some relationships meant to end, you know?
Yes to both. Both those are true. I think if you have ended up in a relationship with somebody, you need to see that through to completion. Completion might be either we're together forever, or there is a very definite, undeniable lesson to learn from it, which when learned, you as a human and as an identity change, and you're no longer then attracted to them. And if that's true and done properly, you can't help but respectfully and peacefully want to end it. They might not necessarily want to do the same because they might not be at the same point in their journey where they're ready to receive the lesson, and they might go and repeat that with several other partners. But ideally, if you've both got the lesson, you can actually end that quite happily and like respectfully and like, thank you for the good and thank you for uncovering X for me. That's how it should end, if it is going to end. And if you do that process, what will happen is you might learn and grow and still want to be with each other. So if you just follow that one path, we're going to fuck each other up. We're going to hurt each other. We're going to bring things up within one another because we are each other's mirror now once the honeymoon phase is over. And whatever needs to be healed within you, I'm going to somehow reflect. I might be the problem, and how you respond is appropriate. You maybe need to learn to stand up for yourself and not tolerate disrespect. It might not be that there's actually something wrong with you that you're doing, but it's what you're allowing. And I'm going to reflect it in you. And then you're going to pull me up and I go, hold on, I'm used to doing this and getting what I need met. And now I'm going to chuck a tantrum that you're not, giving me what I need. Hold on, what's there in me? Oh shit, as a kid I used to chuck tantrums to get love from mum. Why? She was this and that way. It all reveals stories which lead to healing, or a crossroad anyway. Not necessarily everyone heals. Sometimes you get to the crossroad and you go, fuck that, I can't accept that because that would mean I'm a bad person, or that would mean mum was a bad person and I love mum. I don't want to look at it that way. It could mean a whole lot of things. But we always come to a fork in the road, and most people fuck up and take the easy path. If we take the healthy path, the path that leads to growth, we should just keep growing together and become closer if you think about it over time, because look what we've been through together. Look at what we've helped each other reveal about ourselves and heal through, and still love each other through. Like, you still love me that I was angry so easily and needy and anxious when you would do this. And then I realized and healed it, and now you're able to love me even more because I'm even better than what I was. So that's what should happen. And if we followed that path, you'll either end it pretty good, or at least be better because of it, or you'll just be with that person forever. And in saying that, this kind of doesn't matter, but it does at the same time. I'm very big on staying careful who you select. Most men don't select a partner because they want to be with them. They select them because they're the option in front of them at the time. Because 80 to 90% of men don't get the love and affection that they'd like from women, and therefore they settle. They might feel loved and appreciation from the woman, but the thing is, they might not pick that woman if they also had another 10 women showing them love and appreciation. They might have selected very differently. And that's, I say men, the only way to avoid that issue and be able to select consciously and willingly is to be so good and continuously better yourself that you have an array of women that you could choose to be with, so that you select well and select based on compatibility, not the fact that, oh, she's meeting some of my needs and I feel better because of it. Let's be with her. And that's
me, bro. The boys have this joke with me, like, as soon as I get any attention, and I say this, I call my boys, I say, bro, I love her. Day one, bro, I found the one. I love her. You know what I mean? Like, that's so me, and it's because of the opportunity that's been presented in front of me, which is at that moment, someone or no one, And I am a codependent person. I know this about myself. Like, it's kind of a reason why I podcast. I constantly want to have new people in my life all the time. Yep. I don't spend too much time alone. It's why I listen to so much stuff, because I don't like spend too much. I like feeling like I'm a part of a conversation, even if I'm not in it. So I think whatever comes up, I'm like, there we go. There's the girl, bro. You know what I mean? I've been waiting
my whole life. Since the last one.
I've been waiting 12 months. It's usually a 12-month increment, but I've been waiting 12 months for that one. And I'm starting to get better at today as I get older as well. I'm starting to understand that, like, not every option is the right option, and I'm starting to become a bit more careful, because
in fact, most options are the wrong option.
Yeah. And it's only become from experience. Not relationships have taught me that. My figuring out who I am has taught me that. Figuring out, like, have an addictive personality. That's why I've chosen the path of sobriety instead of drugs, because it's one's too many, thousands not enough. And it's like I better be careful about what habits I pick up and hobbies, because like that becomes my life.
Yep.
So it's like now I'm realizing I do that with girls. So like I have to be careful. Like don't let them in unless you know for a fact you want to devote that all your time and effort to that person, because you will. Yeah, I will do that.
Here's two things for you. So there is a reason that you're like that. Call it a trauma, call it a belief, call it a part of your identity, but you decided at an unconscious level, you didn't consciously say, I'm going to be codependent and I'm going to be this way and be obsessive, which serves you as well, right? That's the good and bad, pros and cons. But there's a point where you decided to do that, and you can go back and heal that if you want to do deep traumatic healing work. Or I've seen in you the ability to consciously be able to really heal and self-correct because of other beliefs that you've got. Like you're very well positioned to change things about yourself easier than most. Like you're the sort of person where David Goggins says, just fucking do this. And if it resonates with you enough, you can and overcome any limiting subconscious stuff. For you, I always say run to the raw. Where you're most afraid is where you most need to go. So you say, I always like to listen to podcasts, have people around, be busy doing stuff. I don't like to be alone and silent. Most of the world's problems originate from our lack of ability to sit alone and silent. I would say if that's most uncomfortable, you do that. Make a common, regular practice where you do it. It's going to feel like a waste of time. You're going to have all these limiting beliefs pop up and say, I could be doing this, I could be progressing the business, I could be fucking with the woman. That you could have so many things you could be doing, but that is more important than all of them, because that moment of silence and time alone, almost in a dark room, maybe with a pen and paper, will allow shit to come up for you that would never otherwise be addressed. And you'll realize where it comes from. You'll maybe after 5 or 10 times of doing it, maybe after the second time, if you sat dark for minimum, say 30 or 45 minutes alone, you're like, fuck, I feel sad. And you allow yourself to feel that sadness. Fuck, are people thinking about me? What? Where's that come from? You got to invite the idea of that there's going to be other voices in your head. There is. We're not one person, we're not one identity, we have many. And when another identity speaks up, the one that's responsible for wanting to keep you busy all the time says, do people really care about me if I'm not around, if I'm not contributing or giving something? Or, maybe I'm afraid if I'm not there, they'll forget about me. It could be a million things. But for whatever it is for you, will begin to pop up if you feel into the feelings and play with the thoughts and don't run from them and don't be ashamed of them. Because the worst fucking jail you can ever be in is the one that you put yourself in. Sometimes men are so ashamed of something or afraid of something that they don't even let themselves talk to themselves about it. They try to pretend it doesn't even exist, and that doesn't work. It's in you. You cannot escape it. You're not going anywhere from you. You're always there. So you have to sit and face it.
I had a guy, Michael Lappin, come on the pod, and it was one of my favorite things anyone's ever said on the podcast. He says, you can, and I'll give you context, he's 6'4", 6'5", yoked up. It was his first Christmas out of jail in 20 years or something. So he's a big, tough bloke, deep voice, like just prison yats everywhere. And he's like talking to me, and he's like, he's on a journey of self-discovery and self-progression and sobriety and recovery and all these things. And he's come a very long way, and he's been a good example that anyone can go from something to someone. And he told me, he's like, you can run and you can run and you can run as far as you can from yourself. But at the end, you get to that wall and you turn around and you're right there. And I was, bro, I can't give it justice. It was the scariest thing, like, to imagine him being there, the way he said it. Like, I turn around and it's him. And but it's true. It's what you're saying, you can't run from it.
I love that analogy. I'm going to use that. That's brilliant. I'll make sure I'll do his name so I can credit it.
Yeah, I'll send you a clip of it on our episode. Where he's like, you turn around and you're right there. And I was like, fuck.
You just almost imagine him there for you, like, I'm still here.
I literally said, fuck, don't do that, bro. But yeah, that's true.
It's so true. And if we sit with it and learn to make friends with it, because it's you. It's fucking you. You holding on to it, the body that you've got. And if you sit with it and discover and play with it and actually pick it apart and intellectualize it and go, okay, I am afraid of vulnerability, let's say it comes down to. Or I'm afraid of not being accepted for who I am, so I've always got to be there people-pleasing in some way to make sure that I'm providing value, that way they want me. If that's true for your body, we know it's, like, in reality, that's dumb, of course not. But it's it doesn't matter whether it's real or not. What matters is whether our subconscious mind believes it's real or not. And if it does, you can begin doing conscious practices. So when the moment comes up and you're like, oh, I feel like I need to go to that, say no. And each time you do the opposite of what your impulse is, if you have the conscious willpower and discipline to do that, the neurological pathway, which if you imagine as an actual set of weeds throughout your body that has electrical impulses running through it to physically cause you to physically want to do it, like a remote controller to a character in a game, and hormones being released biochemically in a way that change the way you think and feel to do that thing. If you do the opposite, it diminishes that neural pathway. It weakens it each time, and eventually it gets so weak as another one's forming and electricity is going down that pulse that becomes the easier path to travel down, and this is the harder one, and that becomes the automatic response then. Sometimes this will still come up, but again, if you stick to it over and over and over again, eventually this becomes the predominant, more powerful behavior and habit, and eventually we don't even have to think about it, we just do that new behavior now. And that's what I would invite you to do with that process. And anyone that has an issue, it's not going to work for most. Most people need to do the deep work in trauma. But if you're able to actually cut things off quick and decide and move in a new direction easily, you've got that innate ability to be able to reflect, and you just got to allow yourself more time to reflect or do what's uncomfortable to you. And in those moments, you'll grow.
I love that, dude. To be honest, like I was so curious about the whole conversation of what relationship advice is, but to find out that it's a self-accountability progress and program you have to go down in order to benefit your relationship. You have to learn what you're doing right and wrong most necessarily.
Here's the thing to add to what you're saying. The relationship is literally, it's not the relationship that's a problem. It's the two parts that make up the relationship. The relationship is a reflection of the two people in it.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Because like I wanted to, and I'm still going to cast some more questions. Like, what do you think has gone wrong in my past relationships? But it's like, even by asking the question now, I'm starting to understand, like, fuck, I have definitely been, at least from my own perspective, 100% of the contributor towards it. You know what I mean?
See how empowering that is? You can do something about it now.
Yeah.
Most people say it was her. It was him.
And to be honest, bro, fuck them. Like, to be honest, there's been a couple of them in the past, and it's like, I because of the situation and circumstances, I might not necessarily share because I don't want to put someone in a negative light online for anyone who knows them. But I think fucking bad person. You know, that's anyone who knows me personally that listens outside of the internet that knows who I'm referencing knows for a fact that's a bad person. But in that sense, in that relationship, no matter how it ended, I do find that I have a habit myself, and maybe some people can relate, so I'll share it, where I put a window on a relationship. Like, not necessarily in a time of how long we're going to go and be together for, because I might think I might be with this person for the rest of my life. Yeah.
And if you're going into any other relationship without that mindset, you shouldn't be in it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree too. I think that let's just use my last relationship as the example. I thought genuinely, how fortunate am I? I found the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. This person's great. I now see what I found attractive in that person. Fuck it, I may as well talk about it. They were a mother of a child already, and I found that attractive because I think that it called towards my always needs to be a dad, and I couldn't wait to have kids of my own. I saw a motherly nurturing aspect of what it was like to be with someone my own age that had already got all these qualities, and go, fuck, that's hot. You know what I mean? And since then I've realized that I find single mums, I find all these things to be hot because I find the nurturing aspect of what they're doing to be attractive, you know?
So the nurturing aspect is a feminine aspect, right? So you find, and it makes sense, mothers typically tend to be more feminine because they are embodying feminine traits of nurturing. Yeah. So that's perhaps alluding to something in you. It makes sense biologically almost, but I'd say there's more to it as to...
Well, I think it's just to be honest, my favorite person in this world is my mum. Like, I think anyone that I could find that could be even close to what my mum is, I'm pretty lucky to find that person, right?
We do marry our mothers, essentially.
Yeah, because, like, obviously she's my mum. Everyone should have this perspective. But I think any girl that's looking after little children, like little siblings, any girl that has responsibility in that aspect, I find that very attractive, right? So I think that's why I was drawn towards a relationship. Yeah. But when I say there was a time frame, it's like I've got so much shit that I'm always trying to do in my head that I might go, there's a 2-hour window on Saturday for this person. And I genuinely think in my head, like, I'm giving this person everything I've got. I love this person. I'll make it the best 2 hours. But it's like, I think maybe one of the reasons why that relationship didn't work out is because, like, there was a very small window in which I was willing to be present inside the relationship. And it might be an hour a night, or it might be 5 hours a week, or whatever it was, but I had to limit that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys might feel like they're doing the same thing in their relationship. They're not giving their partner enough time. And I think, to be honest, through having this conversation, I'm starting to think that I didn't give myself enough time to be in the relationship because I was too concerned that I was meant to become the person that was there more often. You know what I mean? Like, don't allow myself to spend too much time here because she's really with you because you're going to be doing more. You're going to be getting more. You're going to become this person.
She wasn't with you for who you are now.
Yeah, 100%. I never thought.
Think about that.
Yeah.
What that does for your self-worth. If subconsciously, if you believe that, do you believe you're giving enough then in the moment?
No. Because I was always concerned about giving her more, and I'm not more yet.
Yeah.
Like, become that guy already.
And go back to what we previously spoke about with you, where even when you were present, I am going to give her this window of 2 hours, you were thinking about how this is going to make it better later. So as present as you weren't as present as you could be because it wasn't, this is good enough. I am enough to be here. And that, even though it's an us thing, that affects how we show up. It affects our body posture. It affects our hormone levels, which determine how we think and therefore how we act, if nothing else. Like, purely on a scientific level, because this can sound quite generalized and woo-woo. You think about it, how are you going to act if you think you're fucking good enough and she's so lucky to be in the presence of you and you love her with all your heart and you're going to give her the best that you possibly can at that time, which is enough? Are you going to act different to, I've got to try and make this up to her, I've got to give her the best I can in 2 hours because it's not much time and she's waiting on me to get better? Are you going to be different?
Yeah, 100%.
She will receive you so different, and that's a big problem that women feel, and why women, when they come to me, they're like, I want a man. They're trying, they love me. I had a woman I was on the phone call with this week. She's married, and like I'll leave it there. Most women that work with me are married, but her husband kissed her and said, I love you 4 times before she left for work in the morning. He's fucking suffocating her. And that's what a lot of women feel. They feel their man is fucking weak and suffocating her. And she goes, I love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore. And then there's this other guy at work, and she sees him in their element, being masculine, directing, providing structure, comfortable in themselves, not being needy. And they go, why do I find him attractive, Clay? I go, what do you think? He's showing that he can provide for the core feminine needs. He can absolutely provide safety. Look at the structure and consistency showing that your partner isn't. It's unfair. You're also only seeing his public life, whereas you see your partner's private, secret, community, and public life. So you're seeing all the wrong things with your partner, but you only see what's right with this guy. He's able to provide variety and uncertainty because, you know, he's always doing stuff. You don't know what he's up to next, and you don't know much about the back end of his life. So it's a mystery, which women crave.
That's an interesting point. Wow.
Yeah, and we'll touch more on the core feminine needs because it's if all men know how to meet them and make them their baseline and regularly check in, am I meeting these core feminine needs? The relationship almost largely takes care of itself. There's 3 things you can do actually which fix 90% of relationship issues and would save most men the heartache that they go through. And one of it is making sure, not one of it, but another one of them is making sure we're in alignment with who they believed us to be in the beginning. And most men aren't. And as women discover this and they see other men that exhibit traits that meet the core feminine needs, they find themselves attracted to them. And that's just to tie it full circle. That's a lot of the issue that when I speak to women, I see they're facing. It's men that don't show up and meet the needs in the way that they need, and also just aren't congruent with what they say.
I do think that I think that girls do find me to be mysterious in a sense where,
of course,
and this might be arrogant to assume it, but I do feel like I live a pretty interesting life in a sense where people want to know more based on, you know. But I think as soon as a girl gets invited into my world, it becomes pretty easy to figure it out in a sense, you know what I mean? And maybe there isn't enough mystery there because I'm especially because girls, if I'm dating them especially, they'll listen to the podcast, they'll hear everything I did that week.
You're almost a bit higher than every other man. He's like, oh my God, look what this guy's doing.
Yeah, but it's like then they learn everything pretty quickly. Like every conversation I have, whether it be about finance or business or love or marriage or interests or hobbies or whatever it is, like they're getting it all every week, you know what I mean?
That every man has that problem. Sometimes it takes longer for women to figure it out, but eventually women always figure out their man's routine and the mystery to some degree disappears.
Yeah.
So it's a common issue that all men face. And it's something women actually need to become more aware of than the men. Both need to be aware of it. But women need to understand, okay, the part of the attraction, there's a formula for attraction. I have men in relationship come to me, she's not attracted to anymore. I feel like the lust and the intimacies died down. I help them work on this attraction formula. They're like, mate, the sex life is better than ever. I feel like she admires me more and like reveres me. And a part of attraction is mystery or taboo or uncertainty, variety, all the above actually. And yeah, that kind of goes when we meet the other need of women, again, oxygen, they have to have a met, of safety. Some men over-provide in the area of safety and certainty, and they provide so much certainty that they kill the other diametrically opposed need of uncertainty and variety.
Wow.
So, yeah, right? So if we fix those two needs alone in most relationships, they become a lot better. Men just need to bring some humor, and there's a bit of a formula to it, some play, some uncertainty and mystery back into the relationship. And when they do that, their woman goes, oh, I don't actually know everything about him. Or let me catch up on your day. Oh, that's new. I didn't know that. And it's a healthy thing to have. The problem is then, because it always usually has a step further than that, it's not that simple, is most men are fucking boring. You're not. That's not the issue you have.
But I'm also aware of that, and it might be subconscious, but when you say that, as soon as you said that, my brain went, yeah, but I'm trying not to be that. You know what I mean?
Trying not to be boring.
Like I genuinely find interest in things. I'm fortunate that I fucking love life. I love living. Something pops up, fuck yeah, sign me up. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Because I'm curious in that aspect. But I'm also aware that like you don't want to become boring. So like I try not to be that either. You know?
Yeah. The issue is when we try to do something instead of be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're aware of it and you're actively trying to do it. I always say to men, if you're trying to, like, not that I'm saying you're trying to be more masculine. Masculinity is a state. I fucking almost don't detest the word because it's so drenched in shit and weirdos now are trying to be masculine. Masculinity is an energy you embody based on certain principles and ways of being. You don't have to go to the gym to be masculine, but you do have to be dedicated to discipline and betterment to be masculine. You can't be masculine and not committed to betterment. Like the moment a man kind of breaks that tie, no good. Same as you can't be masculine and not provide direction and structure to some degree. You can't just go with the wind all the time and be whatever and pander to other people's needs. You lose that energy of masculinity, or at least it diminishes to some capacity. So I always say if you want to have a better life and a partner reflect a better version of you back at you and better relationship, better everything for that matter, to embody a more masculine, manly energy means do things on your terms and be who you want to be in alignment with what you want. Instead of trying to, for example, be aware of the real problem, like you're aware women do need variety, change, fun. It's not how do I try to do that. It's more about like, I would provide that through these certain means which naturally align with me anyway. There's certain acceptances, and actually probably for everyone still to a capacity, like both things can be true. It is true that you do need to do things every now and then. And what that looks like is in a long-term committed relationship, there's going to be so much familiarity. How do I mix it up and create uncertainty and variety and taboo, ideally? We have never gone to a fucking play or an orchestra. Like that's actually weird for us. I want to fucking book it as a surprise. Tell her if there's a kid, because that's always an excuse. Hey, Thursday night, what do you got planned? Nothing. Good. I've actually booked a babysitter. We're going out from 6. Wear that blue sparkly dress that you wore that night. What are we doing? Secret.
Yeah.
She will be so fucking turned on and excited. And when it's something different too, like on the way out on the Thursday night when you're there, it's like, hey, I know you don't know what it is, but I just want to make sure your expectations are aware that it's something different. I'm not even sure if we will like it, but I wanted to do something different for us, and I think would be fun based on what I've been told about a few friends and who went on a date. Oh my God, what is it? It's like, it's weird. She's, even if it's, you've pre-framed it in a way.
Dude.
Yeah, and you go
There's
to
uncertainty.
a really cool musical or orchestra or something, or you might go to a football game or a hockey game or a basketball game. You might go on a paint and sip date, just something you haven't done that is new for you. And as a man, have fucking fun, pour in, don't try to be masculine and, you know, this is fun. Fuck off.
Yeah, this is gay.
Enthusiasm and energy and fun is infectious and it's sexy. No woman's ever gone, I'm attracted to that guy because he's stone cold and doesn't exude emotions. It's not to say and give people permission to be an emotional bitch either, because it's the other end of the extreme. Women will not be turned on by you. Like, if you're too emotional, you're like a fucking female. And a woman has already got plenty of female friends who are emotional. She doesn't need a guy who's emotional on top of it as well. So do that, and that'll create it. And just get comfortable with the fact, and this is where you got to have a solid woman. Pick well as well. Let her know that your purpose will always be bigger than her, because it's your purpose is who makes up who you are, and that's what she was attracted to. What happens is when she's comfortable with that and knows that it's not you're going to treat her any different or any less, but your mission is going to come first, because that allows you to provide and protect and to give and to be who you are for them, which is who they love. If they accept that, they'll be okay knowing, look, things are going to be tough sometimes. He's going to work overtime here and there. But when you're present, if you're present and you fulfill her core feminine needs, it'll allow you and afford you that luxury of being busy.
And she has to know why you're doing the thing too, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, if you're working overtime, you can't expect your missus to be okay. Fuck, dude, I have so much I would love to unpack from that. Just one thing is, like, if you're doing overtime and you're expecting your missus to be okay for the fact that you're not home, right? But then you spend $800 on a Thursday slapping at the pub, then the reason why you're not there doesn't make up for the need. And you can be thinking, man, but I'm making all this money, blah, blah, blah. And even if you're not doing that, even if she doesn't know why you're making the money, like, you could just be secretly saving it, or you could be not letting her know that you are looking to make better decisions for the family, or whatever it is. If she doesn't believe why you're doing it is for a purpose, then you're doing it for the wrong reason in her eyes.
Important the belief is, the subconscious feeling of knowing and understanding why. Yeah, and that's the thing too, there's an incongruency. Publicly, honey, I'm working hard, I'm busy making this extra money, but for us to save for a house. But then if you go spend $800 on a set of pokies, she sees an incongruency there. So your public announced direction, that life doesn't align with your private life, because in private, you're acting very different. Or the community life. The community life is who we become when we're around our friends who share common beliefs, like a sports team, a men's club, swim club, run club, whatever it is. When we feel that we have an environment that echoes us and what we believe, we allow our full self out. Like, we become sometimes overtly and arrogantly adamant about this. Like the red pill community of men, for example, fucking masculine, women should serve men this way. It's utterly just nonsense and bullshit, but it's an echo chamber where they believe it, and then they spit all this advice but never have a healthy long-term relationship. And they get with the very type of women that they talk about in the test.
Yeah, it's all a gear, no idea. You know what I mean? Because like, they're not saying the wrong thing, they're just thinking about it in the wrong way.
And it's an extremism, and they're in a community-based environment which reveals who they really are. Because if you become like that when you're supported, think about how much of a tyrant you would become if you got a lot more power. So who we truly are is, and who we'd like to be perceived as, is our public life. That's the best self, but we rarely marry up to that when people see us for long enough. And if your partner sees you being like, yeah, the boys, like hyped up in energy, spending money on pokies, but saying, oh, we're saving for a house, her brain and biochemistry literally conditions her and forces her to feel unsafe with him. And thus begins the fucking chain of events that will unfold, which creates problems, which he will either realize I'm a piece of shit in this aspect and I'm not living congruently with who I really want, or with who I really am. Or the reality is I actually get so much out of partying with the boys and doing that, I actually show up better for her. There's a rare occasion where that's a thing. I need to sit down and communicate and be honest with my woman and say, hey, I need to spend $200 every other fortnight to go fill my cup up in this way with the boys and have the man energy. And I want to make sure that another 200 of that is spent to us having time together to make sure we fill this cup up of us too. Are you okay with that? And she goes, yeah, that would work for me. I want you to have time with the boys. I just hate it when you say you're saving for the house and you spend all this money on another means which doesn't serve us, and you're hungover and you go overboard with that, and I'm still left without the attention. Yeah. There's a way which, if you communicate and be honest, you can meet each other's needs and still grow and get everything you want. More often than not, it's their crutches and their vices, right? So that relationship will reveal that's a vice for him. And it's probably a vice for him because he feels a lack of significance without those moments. Why? Because there's a trauma somewhere. It's all, yeah.
Well, when we were talking about the boring aspect, that like most lads are boring, right? And girls don't want to be with a boring lad. Like, I started thinking about the fact that, like, and I want to make this point clear because I think this can be relatable as well. Like, I'm called to adventure, right? That's what, and I think that's a pretty natural masculine calling. Like, men want to explore, men want to create, men want to build a business, build a home, build a family. It's what we're, and that to me, that's an adventure. Start getting married, that's an adventure. You know, having kids, that's an adventure. But getting on a boat and sailing the seas like my ancestors did and trying to take over England, that is an adventure. We're the same people. We're just using today's metrics to measure against the same feelings. And I think boring is another way of going against our natural instinct, which is the call for adventure. So for me, if something pops up, let's just say, I've seen a video the other day on Instagram, like I'm going to go do it in Perth. They have, it's called wing surfing or something like that, where you get taught for 5 hours in a room how to climb out of a plane safely. And then you go up on top of the plane, strap yourself in, and you get 25 minutes of flight on top of a plane. And I seen this video, I thought, fuck yeah, that's my calling for adventure, right? And that's who I am, and that's what I think that people might find attractive about me. But when I'm with my partner, that's my time to sit around, watch Netflix, do nothing. You know what I mean? Because my call to adventure is without that. So in that aspect, I can be boring. You know what I mean? That's a boring partner when I'm there. So I think when I say I try to consciously not be boring, it means that even though my natural instinct in those moments is to just time to relax, time to chill, most men might feel that way. That idea of going and booking that thing in on a Thursday night to see an opera play, I've been working all week, I've just gone out, I just did overtime, I just did all these things. Like, I'm not a lazy person, but when I'm home, that's my time to chill. Even though you might be saving, you might be providing, you might be earning, you might be wanting and creating, to your partner, she's not getting that aspect of you. You're now at home. You're boring, bro. You're not living up to your masculine energy.
Most men are very different 3, 6, 9 months in a relationship to what they were when they first met. You're taking her on dates all the time, you're fun, you're laughing. And eventually, again, they become an attachment figure. We feel safe with them. We lose this mentality of we're dating to secure to we are secure now. So now I don't have to put in as much effort. And that works against us. It's a biological thing. You're wired to feel like that. You're not the only man that has that issue. The way to fix that, and I think this is probably where you want to go. Like there's a number of ways, but the first thing is awareness. We want to do that, and that's women need to realize that's a compliment. We feel in love and secure with them to do that now.
To do nothing.
We're not, and that says, and I feel so in love with you. I'm not trying to go out and do this. I'm not trying to impress. It's a double-edged sword, because if women can go, okay, that actually is a really nice meaning, but it also is a bitter pill sometimes, because it's like, well, I'm losing the side of him that was really nice and exciting and fun. So what the hell? Like, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And
before you go on with it as well, like for me, this is just, I don't know if anyone's like this as well, but for me, to do nothing is depressing. To sit around and not achieve, to not explore, to not earn, to not grow is catastrophic. Like, I don't want to do nothing. I can't sit around and watch TV. But if I'm with a girl, I genuinely want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a good thing, but I can see why it's not for them, you know?
Hopefully, the simple answer to this is variety. No one wants to do it all the time. Like, I've friends that are quite wealthy and they do a lot of traveling, and they so love the idea of just being able to sit and do fuck all for a couple of weeks here and there, because they meet that need of variety so much that they then need to meet the need of safety and security. And just so most men aren't wealthy and have access to all resources at all times and can do whatever they want when they want. So we have the extreme of safety. We always have access to that almost, thanks in a first world country to a degree. So we've got to actively create time for these other occasions. And we've got to really work on ourselves to understand female nature is the only real cure to it. Understand human nature, for starters. There's 6 core needs, and that we need variety just as much as we need safety. Some people need one or the other more than the other, but we need both. And if we actually go, okay, that is the reality of it, and almost treat it like a job, book it in. What gets booked gets done, right? And or treat it like you're always dating them. Get rid of the fact that I'm now with her forever. Like, because if we believe something, we act in accordance with it. Our belief is we're now secure. Throw away the belief that, she has to be with you now. Recognize the fact that every day she is with you is a choice, and she's choosing you because she believes you're the best option available for her at the time. And you have experience and connection together and trust and a lot of other things that glue you together, like multiple things come into play. But if you hold the underlying belief like she deserves this from me, I deserve it, and as much as I want to just relax and unwind, and that would be enough, after long enough, sitting still and lack of movement decays, destroys. Nothing in nature sits still for long enough. And if that area of the relationship sits still for too long, I die. She dies. The
That's a good
relationship,
analogy.
which is made up of us, dies. If I stop working for long enough, we don't earn money and I die because there's no food. The relationship is like a job. And if we can think of that as a job of passion, a job of like a labor of love, it helps. It's not necessarily magically easy now, but it helps. And I would just say, like, try to just find something interesting. If you're selecting a partner, if you're currently single, find a partner that has similar values or similar principles or similar interests, because then you can go do something you're naturally going to do anyway and are interested in, and she tags along, and that need of variety and fun is already taken care of by default. And that's really the path to go down, and that's the real actual cure-all to this. Now I think about it, is pick based on compatibility, because if she likes what you like, you go get to do those things together, and that fills that cup up with doing stuff and not just sitting on the couch and going, fuck, I need to take her out again, which will be fine, I know, but it's an effort, which it is. It's an effort. It's a piece of your job, which is being in a relationship.
It's such a tightrope that you have to learn how to walk, I swear. Like, and being, okay, I'll ask this question to them as well. Like, do you think that it's obviously, to get a healthy relationship, you have to feel like your needs are being met?
Yes.
Do you feel like majority of men and women know what their needs are?
No.
Okay, that's a good question then, because how can I already, and this is not coming from my perspective now, this is coming from anyone who's listening who's in a relationship, how can a couple learn to fill each other's needs properly?
There's 4 questions to get down on paper, and then there is understanding the core masculine and feminine needs. So I'll cover both. The 4 questions everyone should ask themselves, this is whether they're in a relationship or out of one, is what do I absolutely want in a relationship? And you'll have a bunch come to you in the first moment, and then over the coming days and weeks, now that your brain is aware of it and you've put some time to it, you'll see other couples do something, you'll be like, oh, I actually really like that. Or you'll watch something on a TV, or you'll hear something, or you'll just have a realization, wait, this is also really important to me. And you need to build that list. What must I have in a relationship? What do I deserve, and what do I really want? Second thing is, what do I absolutely not want? What won't I tolerate, no matter what? Common one, simple one, is abuse. It might be a drug addiction, alcohol addiction. It might, whatever it is. It can even be as simple as, some women say, I won't tolerate yelling. I say I'd encourage against that, because you're probably going to yell, and if he yells back angrily, not aggressively, but angrily, like it makes sense, especially if you're antagonizing someone. But figure out what you won't tolerate. Usually this list isn't that big. Then third, go to what will you tolerate? So what would I be willing to tolerate and deal with if condition 1 and 2 are met? Like, what am I comfortable with? What would I be okay not having? Like, for example, women, appreciate the man cleaning around the house, but if they have a man that's earning a high income and is a bigger provider and allows them to be a stay-at-home mum if that's what they want, and have a side hobby in business and not have to worry about money, provides all these amazing needs, like all the condition 1 or most of it is met, they've got to go, I'd tolerate him not washing the fucking dishes or ever when he comes home or really cooking, because he's so busy providing, he does all these other things for me. It makes sense that he shouldn't have to do that. I can tolerate that. And then if he does do it as a bonus every now and then, oh, amazing, I'm going to feel more fulfilled. And then you got number 4, which is, what do they need from me, or what they expect from me? So if they have conditions 1, 2, and 3 met, or to a large capacity, what do they expect from me? Who do I have to be, and what do I have to do to be deserving of someone like that? And this is a tricky one, because so many women think, oh, I need to be this and independent and strong, and they put that as, and then what you need to do before I go there is you need to go through and write all these out and make a hierarchy of what's the most important. The second, the third, for each one of those 4 questions.
Well, it's like 1 + 2 + 3 = 4.
Yeah, and in the top 4 needs, typically, ironically, I say go put all these in a hierarchy now. What are the top 10? You just need to get to at least 10 needs in each one. So, I have women clients that come to me like with 30, they must have this. but then they put their top 10 in the order, and I say, if he just had these top 10 and none of the others, would you love him or would you want him? She's like, oh yeah, actually. It helps you realize, like, sometimes we put stuff on there that's ideal but not actually needed. Yeah, that's a whole conversation. But I say then question number 4, put in order what you think they would want. And often they're like independence, strong, able to have great conversation, like, which no one, yeah, but the independence thing and the strong. And I'm like, no, most men who are going to do all these masculine traits that you want a soft, gentle, feminine, kind, understanding woman. This whole independence.
Yeah, bro, understanding.
Yeah, men want to be understood.
Never have I felt that part in a relationship.
Bro, it's so common.
Yeah.
And women don't know that. They don't know respect, submission. And it doesn't mean fucking get on your knees and praise the ground in the walks. It means you want to do this? Okay, I trust that you want to do it. I get why. Can you please share with me so I feel more filled in on the idea, but I trust your leadership. It's not to say you can't question either. It's just to say, you know, you want to go down this career path and make this move. I don't know about that. Honey, trust me, I've got this. I've made a lot of good decisions. I'm comfortable with this. I know it's scary. It could really affect us. Okay, I trust you, hon. What do you need me to do? Most women go, I don't know. Are you thinking of this? They question him and nag him and don't understand him. So that's an eye-opener. And thankfully, I've only ever again attracted female clients that when they go through this process and I shed the light on it in a loving, kind way, they 9 times out of 10 go, yeah, shit. No wonder I've been pissing my husband off, or no wonder he doesn't feel his needs are met, and that's why he's showing up for me, and this ping pong machine effect happens. So I say do that, and work on it, add to it, chop and change it. It'll allow you to realize what's really important to you and what's not. And it'll also affect the filtration process that you delete, distort, and generalize the world through to select better based on compatibility, as opposed to fleeting, lustful emotions in a moment when you go, oh, they chose me. You might go, oh, this feels nice, and I maybe want to sleep with them, but fuck no, she'd be a nightmare this far in because she doesn't do this. Because she doesn't do this, which is a need for me, I would become a cunt. I wouldn't be nice to her. So you can see chaos in advance by answering those 4 questions.
Now, before you go on, the point I wanted to make on that was cool because I did say 1 + 1 + 2 + 3 = 4 based on those 4 questions. But I got towards the end there that it's like if I was going to answer the first 3 questions, it's my 1 + my 2 + my 3 = their 4. Because the 4th questions now, what do they expect from me? Yeah. So it's actually like I have to do my own work and then present them the opportunity whether they want to become the question for number 4. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it is a teamwork thing, and in that you did say you're going to go into 2 things. You're going to go into the masculine and feminine needs and the 4 questions you ask yourself. 4 great questions, and I'm going to start using them on every first date probably from now on. But you did say it'll give you the better option to be able to choose correctly, and based on my own experiences, sometimes I do feel like I haven't got much options, so I choose the wrong thing. So I think that a lot of people might relate to the fact where they don't feel like they have got many options to choose from. And I think you might be able to answer that by talking about not just the feminine needs once you get in there, but not just the masculine needs of what you can provide when you're in there, but the feminine needs as well. You have to be that person first in order to be able to have most choice, be able to pick the right partner. You have to already be the type of guy that can make the feminine needs before you get into the relationship, you know? Yeah. I think that's an important thing for people to know. Like that's probably the reason why you haven't got much options, because you're not already providing the feminine needs before you get there.
And embodying the traits of a masculine man that they would need to meet their needs. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right, well, that's cool. So let's go into that then. What are the 2 things, the masculine needs and the feminine needs?
Where do you want to start? What a woman needs from us or what we need from a woman?
What do they usually say? Give me the bad news first. So let's just
what a woman needs from us then.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of men, it's I think we know it, actually. It's just, do we do it well? No. So women need, there's something like 12 that I've got now, and it's kind of evolving over time. I'm discovering certain things that are important across all women. But the top ones, which if you meet these, they fall head over heels in love with you, and they stay in love with you. So the first one is significance. They need to feel significant and important to you. Most men fuck this up, and they do it, but they make the woman more important than the mission. Or they have this great life that the woman's attracted to, and then after they get the woman, they change this great life, and they make them the priority instead of what was previously the priority. And that changes the man, and therefore the man that she loved and liked is different now. So we need to make them feel significant without pedestalizing them and making them the center of our world. So significance is one. She feels significant to you. Brilliant. She's in love.
Okay, can I put something on top of that? Because I'm using my own experiences, but sometimes I've put them too much on a pedestal, and they have felt too significant. Sometimes I haven't put them as high enough on a pedestal, and they haven't felt significant, even though I've sometimes thought that person was more significant than that person, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's like, I like the idea of significance, but they have to feel significant to your purpose. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have your plan that comes first, but they have to feel significant to your purpose, you know?
Yeah.
And then they'll be okay with you going and doing what you need to do and feel like they are a good contributing factor to your plan.
100%. And that actually is one of the other core feminine needs, contribution.
Okay.
So if
I went too far ahead.
No, don't be sorry at all. That was a great segue into one of the other needs. They need to feel like they're able to contribute to create security with themselves, buy-in. You're bought in. They can contribute. You allow it. And it builds connection. It builds interdependence, where you become not codependent on each other, but interdependent on each other. You reliably rely on each other. Whereas most people unreliably rely on someone and go, oh, I'm going to codepend on you. You're responsible for my happiness now. No, that's fucked. That's an external locus of control. When I'm interdependent on you, it means you can influence my happiness, and I'm relying on you and only put pressure on you in a way that is reasonable and responsible, and you want to, and we can work on each other. And if you hurt me by accident by not showing up, or I do the same to you, it's not like you're an evil person and I'm now a shell of myself because you were responsible for my happiness. I went, how did I fuck up there? Like, what went on? Why weren't you able to do that? This came up, I'm so sorry. Okay, you didn't mean it. Fair thing. Can I still rely on you? This was, does something need to change? No, it's all good. This is a rare thing. Hopefully you can forgive me for it. Yeah, I see the truth in this. We're still good.
It's also so, maybe it's just me, but they're conversations that I don't have in relationships. Like,
we're meant to have, because they're uncomfortable conversations, and we don't, learn how to have these conversations. And you said this earlier, it was very telling. I don't know if this was on camera or not, but you said you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's why if someone invites me on a podcast, and provided I resonate with them, I've said no to some, I'm like, I'm on there because it's an opportunity to talk about this stuff, which people that I otherwise never would have touched get to reach and share this message, and they go, fuck. Like, I have more women than men reach out to me now, say, thank you so much. I've realized this is my relationship. I never thought of it like that. Sometimes what I say is fucking crude. I'm like, for example, women need to learn to submit to their man. For starters, why the fuck don't you want to? If you've picked the right man that you admire and love and want to be with, you naturally want to do this. I've spoken to so many women, past exes of mine, they say, yeah, I want to submit to you. I want to give in to you. Sometimes they've had a bit of a quirky relationship with the word submit because of fucking society. But that's feminine nature. Like it or not, if you're a female, you want to surrender into control, into someone taking the lead and doing that.
We've lost words like submit, surrender, and my favorite one, which is serve.
Yeah.
I think to be a servant is the best word we've got, but we've looked at it like it's such a pussy thing to be.
I've said that exact word. I love that because I've said it, like, learn how to serve your man, and they're like, I'm like, hold on, what if I say he needs to serve you? How do you feel about that? And most women are like, oh yeah. I'm like, see, double standard. We should serve each other. Absolutely. I love that word. So learn to serve your partner. If you're not wanting to serve them, different to pedestalize them and make them the center of your world. No, like, we have a client right now. We're serving each other. Let's show up for each other. Let's do this. I'm gonna do the best I can for you, and you me. We're serving each other. When you're with your partner, you should want to serve them. How can I make this better for you? When you're having sex with them, do you not want to absolutely serve them and make them have the best experience you possibly can? When you're making them dinner, don't you want it to taste good? It's service. We live and die in service. To people that don't, they live an unfulfilled life. We've got growth / contribution, significance, safety, an obvious one. It's a major one. If they don't feel safe with you, the house falls down. If we're in a house right now, your home, if the walls start waving and moving from a heavy wind, nothing else matters. These cameras don't matter. Our brain, our mammalian brain, the amygdala, as well as the neocortex and the limbic system, all three major parts of the brain, kick into gear and do a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. We're immediately going to go to flight. Our adrenaline, our hormones, everything changes to biologically say, get the fuck out, because the walls are unstable and all we care about is survival, the core human need, survive. In a relationship, if a woman doesn't feel safe, nothing else can transcend or expand from there or for that relationship. She needs to feel safe. And safe doesn't necessarily just mean the absence of danger. It means the presence of consistency, reliability, and dependability. She can rely on you to be the same, and she knows how you can anticipate or respond to things if something bad happens and you're going to fly off the wall and rage and be aggressive, you're good. Doesn't mean you can't be angry. She might know he's going to be angry about this, but I know he's going to be fair and he's going to love me still. And if she knows that, safety, significance, and growth, she's in love with you. You're solid. But most men fuck them up. Most men provide the safety and maybe the significance, but they're also a bitch about it. They pander, they go too far, they pedestalize. And if we exceed that need in a way that's not healthy, it actually detests the woman. It's like she goes fully attracted, and instead of going like unattracted, she goes, oh, this is too much. And it's like weird now. It's like anything. Too much of it can be bad. But most men will provide those too, but then they suffocate one of the other core feminine needs, the top ones, which is variety and spontaneity, which we spoke about. And then that kind of kills and suffocates her as a whole. It fucks up the safety part because the safety now feels like a cage instead of a luxury. It's a cage instead of a cushion. It's a burden instead of a gift. That safety becomes something that works against them. Yeah.
That's boring.
So now there's significance only. And then typically she goes, I feel like I'm the center of his world. You're not a man anymore. So yeah, women, to kind of boil it all back to the main ones, is significance, safety, uncertainty, growth and contribution. And then I like to say that she needs structure and or leadership. If you have that and you throw that in there where she can actually kind of surrender to things and go with the flow and enjoy the present and just bring joy and happiness, one of the greatest gifts all women can bring into a relationship. She won't, like Chris, this is where Chris Brown, like we said earlier, or any famous, powerful, wealthy man with all of the above can be in front of them and hitting on them, and they won't bat an eyelid. They might be flattered, but they'll say, I have a partner. And they're like, yeah, don't worry about that. Like, hey, whoa, don't be disrespectful, I have a partner.
I've got everything I need.
Yeah, and nothing else can outdo that. It biochemically, like women can disagree with this. The fact is, the science shows that biochemically they become wired and conditioned to that man, as the man does her, and we want them. And it creates a version of that woman, which if we provide those needs, that is way more feminine. She naturally falls in alignment with her innate nature. A lot of people think, no, it's not women's nature. It is. We have a heart. You can argue all with me all you want. The heart does not fucking do 360s inside of you. It is very rigid in one spot and it pulsates and it moves blood. Your heart does the exact same as my heart. Your heart or some viewer's heart isn't special and does something different to all of ours. It can have irregularities, but they all do the exact same thing. We have arms and fingers and eyes. They do the exact same thing. The parts that make up a female, that make them a female, also dictate or determine that they act in these ways biologically. When these needs are met, they feel a certain feeling and they become so happy in their nature, and that's when they're at their best. And that's when a man gets the best out of the woman. So it's so important that a man does fulfill these needs and how to fulfill them in a way that's consistent and easy for them. If it takes a lot of effort to fulfill these needs, you're probably with the wrong woman. And when we do, we get the greatest version of them and we show it better. We also give ourselves the gift, by us giving to them, we give ourselves the gift of making that woman so in love with us that we get that security we need and that angst dropped of knowing that they're going to be faithful to us no matter what. That, as you've said, you've never felt.
Yeah.
I've felt it. I have with one partner, and I've experienced very, very few men who have also had that privilege and that honor of knowing that as well. So it's really in our best interest as men to meet these needs and learn how to, because it gives us what we want in the woman that we've chosen.
I think a lot of people get confused. I get caught up in the sense that, like, I think what a woman wants is this big multi-millionaire, you know, even 6'5" yoked bloke, you know what I mean, that's charismatic and the funniest guy and then this wittiest guy that's in touch with his feminine side and in a close relationship with God as possible, that he's basically got a cult following. Like, I think it's easy to get caught up and think that's what they want, but you're making it pretty simple when you know. If
you think about those, like, there's a lot more feminine needs. Like reverence, the idea is that the woman wants to revere her man. In order for that to happen, you need to be someone worth revering and admiring. So that's a core feminine need. She actually wants to look up to a man. She wants to be like, wow, he's so amazing. Most men who have the, let's say, wealth, fame, and status, it appears that they can meet most of, if not all, core feminine needs, which affords them that immediate attraction and that status where they, women would throw themselves at men like that or whatever. That's the public perception. You then get that woman in a relationship with that man, and over a long enough period of time when the honeymoon phase ends, if they're not, and this is most men, they're not actually on their shit, they're not committed to growth, they don't know how to live in alignment with values and principles as opposed to fleeting emotions. So these famous, wealthy, powerful men, if this woman dates them after a long enough period of time, they exhibit and deal with the exact same fucking problems that you and I would in a relationship. It's just that because they discover, oh, you're not all that significant, you're not making me feel that significant, you're not meeting the need of safety, and if you are, because of all this money and this house and everything that you get me, I'm bored now because it's all normal to me, and you are pretty one-sided that you have this life, but it's all the same after a while. And like some people might be hearing this going, I know that's true. It fucking is, because look at how many famous, wealthy, powerful, good-looking men have had divorce instigated against them. There's like Chris Hemsworth, Channing Tatum. I think he was one of the most, if not, close to one of the most desirable men in the world. He's had divorce instigated against him because issues in the relationship. When I realized this, and most men don't think about this, they think if only I had money or this, it'd be easy. No, like Brad Pitt. As I said, I could go on with a list of names. I don't want to rattle off random ones and be wrong, but you chat GBT, wealthy, successful, powerful men that have had divorce instigated in them, like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like you can go on and on.
Yeah.
They've had it all and still fucked up because they didn't understand their core feminine needs, and they didn't understand that there's traumas that get revealed up and brought up within them, and it changes how they act once they're attached to their partner and the second stage of the relationship begins, which is the power struggle phase. And as a result, they start being weird. They change things up. They don't meet certain needs. They make her feel insecure. They don't hold space for her in a way that's actually conducive of love and safety and security. And as a result, she goes, I detest you. Oh, like they cheat on him. I wish I could remember, but there's several famous men that have been cheated on with the pool boy, with the cleaner. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy, eh?
They used to give men, defeat them. Like if Channing Tatum can't go through a marriage without having divorce and getting it like against him, what chance do I have? And it's not that. It doesn't matter about what you have and what you can give over a long enough period of time. It's about what you can sustain. And I'll backpedal a bit there. It is about what you can provide, but it's not about money, wealth, fame, and power. It's about needs, because again, they're fucking needs. So if you're rich, have the car, the house, all of that, if you can't provide a need, she can't breathe. If she can't breathe, she dies, or she leaves, or she cheats. So there's a lot of security understanding these basic fundamental things and getting them right. You can make any relationship work. It just comes down to meeting her core feminine needs and then having a few masculine or more manly traits. Not to say that you become a man if you do this. It's just that naturally when you are doing your own thing, you're focused on what you want and betterment, you embody these traits. All men that women typically love and love long-term, not just fleetingly, but love long-term, embody the same sorts of traits, which takes us into the core masculine traits that women want. One of them is structure. Super simple, but they need structure. That provides the safety for them to some degree. We need to provide structure, and structure just looks like consistency. They know who you are. There's boundaries, healthy boundaries. For example, I won't tolerate this. If this happens, we do this. When you provide that, it provides guardrails, kind of like a bowling alley, for them. They can throw the ball as hard and as fast as they want. They can chuck a tantrum. They can do it completely fucked up and wrong. But there's guardrails that protect them, you, and the relationship. And women need that. Because if we don't have guardrails or boundaries set up, it's in feminine nature, and this isn't a bad thing about it, this isn't the shit on women, it's just they tend to push the boundary until they find it, unknowingly. Not all women, but most.
Well, the first metaphor that's ever been depicted as was Eve eating the apple. You know what I mean? Like,
Have you seen that video going around at the moment of the podcast?
Nah.
There was a men talking about how heaven and the Garden of Eden had everything, and God was like, everything, you got it, it's perfect. The epitome of achievement. Just don't touch this one thing. And it wasn't enough for Eve. She still even needed that. Yeah. And then there's a woman on the podcast, and all the men are like, fuck.
It's like, she goes, I don't get it, or something like that.
Yeah, I just expected more. And they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. She's like, what, is that it? And they're like, what do you mean? She's like, I thought there was going to be more at the end of that story. Yeah, I've seen that.
And as true as that is,
it's gold.
I'm a lover of women. that's not all women, but it is 96%. And of the small percentage that it isn't, they can be aware. Don't say that's never me, because you can be that. It's human, female nature to feel and not necessarily think about things. And it's important to be aware that, I can fall victim to my emotions sometimes, as men can fall victim to theirs. Or men can fall victim to the testosterone on us and aggression and anger if unchecked. Women can fall victim to fantasy and lie and deceit and manipulation and perceiving things very different to how they actually are. So it's a weakness and a strength. Just be aware of it and use it for good. And yeah. So the structure, there's a few core masculine needs, and I'm figuring out what the top ones. Sorry, I've gone wrong here. What do men need from women, actually? That's the route we're going to go down. I was going down masculine traits that women want in men. The core masculine needs are what we need from women. Reverence is one of them. All men want to feel revered by their partner. If you find a relationship and you see a woman be disrespectful to the man, he doesn't feel like she reveres him, and therefore that affects how he shows up. You'll typically see men like that with the body posture, with their shoulders forward, they're hunched, not loud and proud. And I don't even mean loud, they're just not proud.
Did you see that recent clip of Alec Baldwin?
Absolutely.
The interview, was it some awards night? Yeah.
Yeah, she destroyed him, and it was so disrespectful. It was disgusting.
Didn't it make you feel bad, eh? Made you feel sad.
And you could see in the way that he tolerated it and took it that that's not the only occasion. That's a normal thing. That's a woman that he should absolutely leave. That relationship's destroyed. He's sacrificed his masculinity, and if she doesn't cheat on him, she will eventually leave him. She'll be done with him. And the moment she has a better option come her way, she'll be gone. So all men want to feel reverence from their woman. This isn't to say to women, give it regardless. The man doesn't need to earn it. But that's a thing I'd say be careful with and use a bit of logic and thought with, because all women deserve safety, but some women violate their rights to that and put men in precarious situations. And the moment they yell or aggressively say, that's not fucking okay, they go, oh, I feel unsafe. You're violent. You're a narcissist. You yelled at me. Fuck off. That's not true. It's that you lost and surrendered your right to safety. And it's not that you're physically unsafe, it's that he yelled. But you still deserve to feel safe in the moment. Absolutely. All women should. As all men should feel a certain level of respect and reverence. And they're two separate needs, but they're very hand in hand. We should feel respected and revered by our partner. If we don't, it's shit, it's not nice, it's not kind. Do they deserve it? Maybe they're not acting the way that they deserve it, but just keep in mind that if you don't give it to them or you rip it away from them, it's the equivalent to ripping safety away from a woman. There is appreciation. We want to feel appreciated for what we do, because men will die for their woman. It's not necessarily true that all women will happily jump in front of a bullet for their man, but just about every man worth his weight, once they're committed to a woman, would die for them and protect them. If the house is broken into, the man's going down and he's defending the family and putting his life at risk to defend the wife and kids. So there should be respect and appreciation and reference to that at all times. Because if you think about that this man's willing to die for me, you might treat him a bit different to how you were about to. Like, think about that. This man's willing to die for me, and I was about to up him for not washing the dishes, and he's actually pretty good. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
I get it too. It's easier said than done. But just if women are mindful of that, they're like, oh, fuck. And if they show him the respect, like if a man meets all the core feminine needs, he naturally gets the byproduct of her being so feminine. If the woman meets all of a man's core masculine needs, he will show him so much better for her and so much more loving, and he will have energy and in abundance to give to her. So there's respect, reverence, appreciation and recognition. They're one and the same. I would say another major one that all men would appreciate is for her to lift him up in front of people and behind doors or behind closed doors. So I don't know what the word for that is that we'd use, but if a man feels that she lifts him up and respects his reputation or increases his reputation, improves it, he will love her even more because she has his back. And it's how what creates brotherhood between men. If you know that, if you knew that behind closed doors, like I'm one way to you in person, then there's people talking shit about you, and I join in and I'm like, oh yeah, hear this, but then you see me next and I'm like, hey brother, do you trust me? Do you feel comfortable or safe with me? But let's say people were talking shit about you, and I'd be like, oi. I was like, if you're gonna speak about him, I hope you're saying that to his face. And I'd be like, oh fuck you, no, you can't, whatever. I'd be like, I'm not gonna tolerate that being said around me. I like the guy, fucking, he's been nothing but good to you guys. He's been pieces of shit. Say that to his face, and you better not be acting nice and kind next time I see you in front of him, because I'll happily go up and make it real fucking awkward for you and say, oh, have you told him how you're saying this?
I was actually having that conversation with you before we started the podcast about someone who I caught talking shit about someone else, or at least not talking about him in a nice light. You know what I mean? Very similar thing than that, yeah.
So imagine now that happened, right? I done that, and then someone came up and was like, hey, bro, fuck, they really had your back when this happened. Like, they were talking shit, just so you know. You'd be like, fuck. Like, even now, just thinking about it, that would feel amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's what men want to be able to feel from their woman. Like, does she have my back? If so, and we know that she's devoted, and the last major need I would say is devotion. If we feel that she's devoted and has our back, fuck, man. Like, what wouldn't you do for that woman? It is, and women need to understand that that's how you need to treat a man if you want the best out of them. To whatever degree or capacity you don't give and meet those needs, you're going to fuck up the relationship, and you're going to make your life harder. And if you surrender and appreciate them for all that, and appreciate the leadership, and make them feel respected and listened to and understood by you, fuck me. That man will move mountains for you, and he will do it with a smile on his face. And the final one I would add is what men need from women is a sense of joy. I think if a woman can come in and bring to the table just happiness and genuine joy, that does something to us. That's infectious for us. We are most attracted to feminine, happy, bubbly women. If you have a woman, she can be a smoke show, she can have all this work done, which I'm not a fan of myself personally, but look physically beautiful. And if she's like just a bit harsh and monotone, immediately she's less attractive to us. Physically, most men would be like, yeah, I'll still sleep with her, I'd fuck her. Like it or not, that's what most men would say. But would they want to marry the woman? No.
Yeah.
We would rather marry a woman that isn't nearly as physically attractive, but had energetic, intellectual and emotional joy that they brought to the table. We'd fall so much more in love with them.
High-spirited, yeah. That's the difference between wife material, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a type of attraction. Like, physical looks is a type of attraction. There's energy, there's emotion, there's this intellect. If she brings that to the table, that's way more valuable than looks.
I met a guy once, he was a male stripper who, this is going back 12 years ago, I reckon I met him, and he used to just root just the tens of the town. Like, just, he was for hens nights and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he'd like always get his best choice of women all the time, and he ended up marrying this really big, overweight lady.
Okay.
And tradesman at the time was his mate. He goes to him, tell him why'd you end up marrying her? And he goes, oh, dude, it's the person she is instead of how she looks. So she's way more attractive than any of those girls that I slept with in the past. Way more attractive.
Yeah.
She wasn't I did not find her attractive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, but I see her for her fun, energetic, natural, high-spirited self. Like, that's who I see, you know?
And that puts a dent in the myth that a lot of women, there's this myth going around that men marry the woman in front of them at the time. It's not true. Men will marry the woman if they have options. Not all men do. But of the small percent of men that most women do want, when they have options, they marry the woman that brings them the greatest sense of joy and peace. And that's another core masculine need, peace.
Maybe the quote is like, I've heard that quote before and I've thought I believed it too, but maybe it's boys marry the woman in front of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Men without options. And men without options are men who aren't of pursuit and aren't pursuing their purpose, aren't action orientated and have an internal locus of control because they're too worried about pleasing the world outside of them. Men who have their shit together marry the woman that is right for them, and everyone else, it's crude to say, but they marry what they can, or they do deal with what they've got in front of them. That's why, like, people say, there's a lot of evil things out there. I think one of the more evil things is a man without options, because they put themselves in situations that they otherwise wouldn't be in if they could have chose something better. And the only way to fix that is to make men accountable to other men and make men better. If you fix, I'll die on this hill, you fix men, you fix the world. The better men are as a whole and a collective. And the more okay it is to put shit in each other for the right reasons and hold each other accountable to a higher standard, the more okay it is to talk about money and religion and finances and growth and sex and relationships in a light that is encouraging and not shameful or deemed weird or woo-woo, the more we will be able to grow. And that, like, fuck, man, you can imagine what that would do for women. Like, they would have to be held to a higher standard too then, and they would better as well. They would feel safer to be themselves. They wouldn't try to put people down. And again, this is a generalization. No one person is to be targeted out of this, but if you look at the general, that's the problem we're facing. A lack of, it's not, masculinity isn't the problem like people say, it's the lack of masculinity that is the problem.
The lack of masculinity, that's the problem. Damn, that's fact, dude. Because I heard someone say recently on a podcast, 10% of men are having 90% of the sex.
Yeah.
And to me, that sounds, I can see how that can be perceived in a way that's like, man, like how do I reach the top 10% of men? Like that's a pretty high thing to achieve for. But I think to myself, you only have to be better than 90% of the average. Like that's pretty easy. Like if 90% of the people aren't doing that good, like it's not hard to be a masculine man. You just have to do a little bit extra. I heard another quote saying that like a present day greatness is old school averageness. So like it's in a sense, and that's misconceived when it comes to like sports and things like this because things are ever evolving inside of niches. But the average man today is a piss poor example of a man in the past.
Yeah.
So to be a great man today, you only have to be an average man from the past.
And you know what else is true, like that rings true for, is women. Women are nowhere near as feminine or gentle and loving as what they used to be in general. There certainly is. And there's reasons for that too. Like I've got empathy, like there's the quality of men out there that they can be safe with, right? The society has demonized masculinity and they've screamed fucking feminine empowerment. And everyone's all for that. No one disagrees with that. But women trying to be boss bitches and shit, no one's attracted to that either. Fuck, like honestly, lovingly, with full respect, fuck off. Men do not want a boss bitch who doesn't need a man. And the fucking interesting thing is how women get when they're in that mindset too, because they think, I don't need a man now. What guy do you know that makes it in life says, I don't need a woman? They say, great, I can get the woman now.
Yeah.
Whereas women do the opposite and they demonize shit. So yeah, the quality of women now has changed a lot too. Men are selecting from a worse pool than what we used to only 30, 40 years ago.
I don't want to have to get towards the end of the episode. Unfortunately, the cameras did die at a point where I hope we can transition it even enough. But there's definitely a couple of things I want to ask you before my final question, and that's that like...
I'll quick fire, yeah.
In the pursuit of finding the right person, one of my biggest questions that I'm always asking myself is how much time... And are you in a relationship at the moment or are you single at the moment?
Currently and very recently single. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was a relationship I didn't want to end, but through trauma that I discovered and stuff I'm now healing, it just didn't work out. But it was that relationship that was a blessing that told me a lot about me.
That's a good way to look at it, bro. It is always a blessing.
And she was amazing. I just, amazing doesn't do it actually justice. It's just that looking back, you alluded to earlier, looking back it all makes sense. There was this perfect cascade of both having unconscious things come to the table and triggering things in me that probably wouldn't have ever come out. She was a perfectly positioned person to make me realize things and grow deeper because of it. And like for that, I'll forever be grateful.
Yeah, mad. All right, well then the two questions, because I'm glad you just reminded me of the first one I wanted to ask before, but the first question is, being a single lad, how much time do you reckon you should spend looking for the right person, becoming the guy who's now ready to start taking these steps and growing a relationship and having the family and working on these things together? How much time should you spend not just looking for it, but also allowing it to come to you? But as we discussed, you got to be the guy, you know what I mean? You got to show up, you got to have a purpose, you got to have a plan. Like, how important is it to find that first, then the relationship? Or should you always just be looking for the relationship along the way?
To whatever degree as a man that you aren't working yourself and progressing and haven't dealt with this shit is to the same degree that you're going to attract someone that's wrong for you, because they are going to be the one that is the catalyst for your lesson. So I would say don't waste any time looking for a partner. Be so busy bettering yourself and improving you so that when they do come along, you can easily grab hold of that opportunity and make it what it's meant to be. There's a caveat to it, like most things are true, but not always true 100% of the time, or that can be true and other things can be true at the same time too. And that's be open, I say learn to flirt with life. I heard that from somewhere, that's not my thing. Learn to flirt with life, be fun, be cogent, be respectful, be kind, be aware of the core feminine needs, and give women that experience. And you'll eventually come across one and it'll be apparent and obvious that it's meant to happen. relationship that I've had that I've found is one that I was like, wow, that was amazing, and I took things away from it and grew because of it. Happened as a result of me being busy doing my thing. Like my last relationship, I met her at a wedding. The one before that, I met when I was working at a gym.
Yeah, yeah. Same.
So, wow.
Yeah.
So many similarities here. So for me, I believe in a higher power. I believe there is a God, and that I think everything that's happening is happening for you, not to you. And God wants you to have a partner if that's what you want as well. And she'll come, and just be patient. And the time is going to pass between now and when you meet them anyway. So be busy making that time useful to be better. If you're focused on I need to find a girl, you're nearly going to repel them.
And what are you not focusing on, I guess, eh?
Yeah, what could you be doing with that time instead, which would make you better for when you do find a girl?
Yeah, a word that popped into my head, I don't even know if it's a real word, it just popped into my head, opportunistic, which I'm taking that word and what it means to just be willing to take the opportunities that come in front of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's interesting. So there's opportunistic, but it's almost like you combine altruistic in there, which is like kind of, actually I like, because give, be you, flow with life, but be focused on yourself too and give to yourself. And yeah, it comes. Like it's going to take longer for some men. So I'll speak to the worst case scenario here. A guy that's depressed, sad, wants a partner, just thinks they'll be happier when they have her. You're wrong. You'll be happier when you make yourself happy. If you're dependent on someone else for your happiness, have an external locus of control, you're going to be a victim. You need to be happy with you and want to date yourself first before anyone else will want to date you. And if someone does date you whilst you're still not fully happy or in love with yourself, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but to a certain degree or threshold, they're going to end up not loving you. They will in the beginning because you're meeting a need and it seems right and there's infatuation, not love, but infatuation and hormones. But it'll always die down and fuck up. So instead of creating a yo-yo effect and fucking other people up in your journey of healing and growing, deny women, push them back and focus on yourself and notice how, funnily enough, they'll almost come. I
think about that as well in a sense where it's like, because I have so much fun living my life realistically, it's good when a girl's there for the journey, for the part-time it might be. I might think it's going to be for a long time, but it might only be a chapter of my life. I just... To be honest, it's always heartbreaking when I get out of one, especially if it's a catastrophic ending to a relationship. But I still think to myself, like, life's still going on, like, pretty much exactly the same. I'm so focused on myself, probably sometimes at a bad extent, but life's pretty normal. It doesn't really change at all when I get out of a relationship. So I think to myself, like, let's just say to find the one, the perfect girl. Like, everyone's always looking for the person that's meant for them, whether you believe in soulmate or not, looking for someone that you're completely compatible with. If I don't find that person until I'm 50, right? That's a fucking long time away. I've got 30, I'm 26 now, so I've got 24 years. I'm still going to have a great time along this journey. Like, I might even meet someone, have kids, I might even get married or not, but I might not find the right person until I'm 50. I'm actually willing to wait that long. I'm willing to just continue to have as much fun, grow as much as I can, spend time with good people, learn, and wait 24 more years. I got some shit to get done, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's a bad thing the longer it takes. It'd be convenient if it came along now, but I think if you're so focused on just trying to be the best version of yourself, like, I'm willing to play this game. I know God's got someone for me. It's like, teach me what I need to learn until I'm there, you know? Like,
100%. Yeah. That I haven't got anything to add to that. I think it's great and true. And yeah, if you're focusing on a woman, it's the wrong thing to be focused on. It's what you want is love and appreciation and joy and growth. And when you do those things, the rest of the world mirrors that back at you, and that'll also show up in the form of a woman. Love, growth, contribution. She'll show up and give you that when you are giving and being and doing that.
They're always going to tell you what you need to be taught, eh? That's like girls. Someone said to me once, one of my best mates, he said, a girl's meant to enter your life to teach you something, you know? And I thought to myself, like, damn, that's so true. And to be honest, when I did that breathwork class last night, I went down a journey of every girl I've ever met, from the first girl from preschool to the girl from year 2, to the girl from year 1, year 2, the next girl I met in year 5, like the girl from year 6, 7. Every one, I'm like, man, she taught me how to do this. She taught me how to want that. She taught me how to appreciate that. She taught me how to not like that. And it's like, I got all the way up into my most recent relationship, and I thought to myself, like, fuck, man, they've come in to teach me about me, you know? And it was a pretty cool experience. But the second question I wanted to ask you, so I'll ask it now, is that, do you think it works if people break up and then try and get back together and make a relationship work. Is that it is maybe not statistically, but from your perspective, is that a good or a bad idea to do?
I think multiple things can be true here. I think in general, it's a bad idea because people are getting back together in general because they're afraid of being alone, and it's easier to be together and deal with each other's intolerances or issues that they're also contributing to. It can be that they thought there was a better option out there. Women particularly tend to do this, and men do it too, but more often women think they can do better and they realize they can't, so they'll go back to the guy that was needy, clinging, loving, that was always secure and going to be there, and settle for that. And they often settle for that, and then 8, 10, 20 years down the line cheat and get with the guy that they feel more attracted to. There's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't, but I'm just thinking of a personal experience now, and then I'm thinking of friends who have ended relationships, and my conclusion that I come back to with that answer is it's context dependent, but I think it can work, but it's got to be for the right reasons. You haven't got to need that person. You've got to go, I love you so much and I fucked up on this part, and that's why we broke up, and I've gone and healed that and done that now. And if you're willing to trust me and give me that opportunity and see that I've grown and want to make it work, I'd like to as well. And it's beautiful if let's say the guy was fucking up, and then they've gone away and he instead of blaming her was accountable and said fuck and grew. I think if he's really different, she'll see, hear and feel that in him, and then she might feel compelled to want to give him a chance because she did love him. It's just that she couldn't love him past that part because it violated a need or a value or something. And yeah, that in that case, as if that wouldn't work, it might reveal the next thing, or it might be her to have something come up, but that can work.
Yeah.
It just has to be for the right reasons, not out of need and desperation, but out of true, authentic love and ownership of why it broke.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have to ask you the final question to wrap up the podcast. All right. Now, it's not something I necessarily want to do. As I said to you, like I could continue to talk all day about this stuff.
So could I.
But that is a good feeling for me because it just means that there's enough room to have another episode again in the future. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Anytime, brother. Say when.
But the final question I'll ask you is the same question that I ask every single person that comes onto the podcast, right? And it's just there for a piece of advice in case the right words hit the right person. But if someone came to you because they were feeling depressed, mostly because they were just lost, what advice would you give that person?
There's so much I want to say because it's not like a one-faceted thing for me. I'm probably going to take a different route to what I thought I would here. And I'd say start with the body, because the body is the house of the hormones and the emotions which cause you to feel how you feel, your internal environment. So I would say almost the opposite, and it's going to depend on the person, but isolate even more. Don't reach out for more and try and get more stimulation. Take a step back and sleep more, less phone, eat better food, drink fucking 4 liters of water or more a day and chuck salt in there, and move, go train. I know some people might be so depressed that they can't go train, so I'd say move to whatever degree you can. And you'll begin to create new emotions and hormones and feelings within your body that will then give you hope and that you can build momentum on top of, and you'll make better choices as a result of. If someone was debilitatingly depressed, it would be a different approach, like where life genuinely feels hard to fucking even move something and go to the gym. Like I've been there where I love the gym, but it felt fucking hard. To that depressed man, I would say you need to get around something that would create hope, and I would recommend a few audiobooks. Probably I would recommend listen to the 4 Agreements. Like listen, repetition, create a positive trauma, a positive indent in your identity and psyche through repetitive listening of the 4 agreements, and then the follow-up, which is the 5th agreement. And you will, and move. Life, dance, music, just have stuff that's going to shake up your environment so that you're not just in an echo chamber of what's already in here. You need external stuff to come in that's good. It's going to shake up the internal environment and create a different mirror or reflection over time, kind of coming full circle to the beginning. The book, The 4 Agreements, and there's so many other ones I could recommend, like Power vs. Force, that would lift up the spirits, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, The Lost Languages of God, The God Code by Greg Braden. This stuff, you hear it and something happens in you. And I'd say that's what you need to do. You need to find something that's going to shake up your internal environment through well-meaning, beautiful external stimulus, through the form of audiobook or music or people.
I love that because there's only so much work you can do over time, but it's like the main fundamental aspects of everything. Like we try, like we simplified relationships and problems and feminine needs and masculine needs and things like this. Like to fix your brain from such a bad state, like depression or being lost and things like this. Like just go down to the roots, go down to the simplest things, go down to the easiest things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get your sleep in check. How many depressed people are not sleeping enough? And then how many depressed people are actually drinking enough water?
Yeah.
How many depressed people are actually going out and walking around outside, getting sunlight, things like that?
Someone made a joke about hydrating properly when you're depressed. So it's like, if it doesn't help you immediately with your mood, because scientifically it's proven to massively improve your mood. I think something like 90, forgive me if I butcher this, but over 90% of people who are depressed are dehydrated severely. And I wish I could source who this came from. They said, drink 4 liters of water, and if that doesn't cheer you up, you'll at least be irritated and feel something different from the amount of times you have to go pee. And it will shake things up for you. And it is, depression, some people say, starts in the gut with the gut microbiome. And I think that's true, but I think there's also other factors that are true too. And it's, at the end of the day, what it comes back to, the core of it is you're depressed because depression is a noun, it's a thing. We need to turn it back into a process, a verb. It's a doing word. Like we are depressing something. Something is compressed, limited, restricted. What is it? Get back to the root cause of it. There's actually a root cause. There's a reason why we decided at some point to be depressed. If we can change that, rely on a friend who is fucking solid and that would force us out of our environment and cause us to do different things, that can't, and forces us to contradict the reason that we're depressed or the belief that we have that causes us to be upset. Like someone might be depressed because of a breakup. Makes sense to be depressed, but you can't remain depressed forever because eventually we readapt to our environment over the breakup. But if somehow someone created the condition where they stay depressed after that breakup because they make a belief I'm not worthy and she was the only one, that mate, if it's appropriate, if he fucking takes him out to an environment in a pub and gets him drunk so he's inhibited and inebriated a bit, he's going to biologically be a bit different internal environment. You can't help it. It's forced, different reaction, different responses, different thinking. And then, let's say the boys arranged a woman to go hit on him. If that's a beautiful, pretty woman that meets his needs and she's showing him attention, he's going to be like, oh my God, he questions the belief. She wasn't anyone. She's paying me attention. This feels nice. She respects me. A need's being filled up. A cup's getting stuff in it. Oh my God, he's no longer depressed. So get back to what's causing it. What fucked you up so bad? And to whatever degree you can, it's so tough, I get it. Try to contradict that thing, that environment, that belief, and leverage the fuck out of people to do it. And then when you get out of that state, reward the fuck out of those people and show them love and gratitude. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to rely on them. Fucking do it and say it. Be honest. I'm fucked. I'm hurting. Can you help me in the form of like doing something, going somewhere, being something, doing something. Just fuck me up. Don't let me be a victim. And I'll owe it to you. They'll say, it's all good. Don't worry about it. But when they help you, if they do and it works, just be a loyal, loving friend and fucking lift them up and meet their needs as well, because friends can meet friends' needs too. I can give you respect. I can give you adoration and appreciate and admire you. I can revere you. I can a core masculine thing that we desire to have is proactivity. So if someone's proactive for us, it's a form of love because they've anticipated our needs. If I proactively go, hey, I've seen a camera for sale that I knew you already had 2 of, it was half price, I got it, and I knew you were going to get another one. Here it is. You'd be like, oh, thank you. What the fuck? I've just saved $1,500. That's a form of love. So meet the people's needs that help meet yours.
Yeah, back. I love that, dude. I love that. I love rely on people to get you out of it and then show them great gratitude when they do. Yeah,
be like praise and like pour more into them than they ever poured into you. And it creates a law and rule of reciprocity, which will pay back dividends even more down the line for you.
Yeah. I love that, bro. That's mad. That's a perfect answer to wrap up a perfect episode, dude. I've absolutely loved it. It was the longest podcast I've done in a fucking long time. And to be honest, bro, we could have kept on going, but cameras let me know that we could have to wrap it up.
Cameras enough.
Yeah. Cameras like, come on, bro. YouTube has a deadline. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm more sympathetic of the editing you've got to do now.
I know.
Hopefully not too much, but I think that was pretty seamless.
Yeah. It'll be all right. I got a bung knee anyway, so I'll have a couple of days at home. I'll be able to get it done. done. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't thank you enough, man. I think the goal of self progression and wanting to better learn about yourself more, then transitioning that onto wanting to be able to help others do more and do better, and then using the relationship as an aspect to be able to get people to work on themselves to be able to provide better for others is such a net positive thing for this world, dude. And I've gained a lot from doing this episode, and I guarantee you've helped a lot of people along the way doing it. So
I've gained a lot too. Thank you. It's the way you question things and the rabbit holes you took us down was amazing, and I can't appreciate you enough for that.
Yeah,
and,
legend.
I'm also honored that you wanted to have me. So thank you for having me.
Legend. Trust me, I'll get you on again, dude. I'll get you on again.
I can't wait.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you, bro.
Thank you, brother.
And for everyone else listening, thank you as well for making it to the end of the episode. It was an amazing week this week. There'll be another one next week. That's all right. Gang, bro.
Two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun.